With war rolling Atlas Thug, we here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast, we breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up, we won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast, where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast, where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast, where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Thug, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast, where the lies will decrease.
And we're live. What's up, dude? I see Steve's there in chat. What's up, Steve? What's up, JB? Almost forgot it was hump day. Hump day! I was thinking that commercial with the camels when I hear hump day.
Who was that commercial even for? I remember it all the time, but I don't even know who it was for.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
It's so funny when some of those commercials are memorable. It's like, oh, I did a good job. But we forgot to imprint what business we're representing.
Right. What makes me think of what, Camel cigarettes? Is that who it was? That's all I can think of is that Camel.
I want to say it was probably like some kind of insurance company or something. That
More
was
than likely.
like, I don't know. Maybe it was. No, Geico has the lizard. I have no idea.
I might look that up right now, actually.
Right? What's up, House? JB, Steve, good to see you guys. Hope you guys' week is going by well. JB says lots of good news today. Yes, lots
of Geico.
News. Was Geico?
Yeah.
Nailed it. But
That's crazy.
so maybe it did leave its imprint of the company, but I don't remember anything that had to do with Geico in there, but oh well. But yeah,
Right.
lots of big news today and yesterday. And so we got a lot to get through. We might actually kind of speed through some of these topics just because there's so much. I know sometimes we'll get onto a topic and we'll go for an hour on it. And so maybe we'll speed through some of these because there's just a ton to get through and it's all relevant and important and wins for Donald Trump. So I mean, it's awesome. It's good to see.
Right.
What's up, Chafee? Sorry if I say your name wrong. Glad to see you here.
Mr. Sharneko.
I like your profile picture there. It's small on my screen, but see some American flags. But yeah, we're gonna get into this whole file release task force. Headed up essentially. I think it's headed up by Anna Paulina Luna.
Yep.
Hopefully she can deliver on some of these promises, unlike the promises that she was giving us before over the summer, talking about arresting AG Merrick Garland for his insubordination and lying to the was he lying or was he just he was ignoring congressional subpoenas is what it was.
Right.
And she was getting tons of clicks on X every time she posted about we're going to arrest him on Monday, we're going to arrest him on this, and then it never came to fruition. And hopefully she'll be able to yeah, right. Kept moving the field goal post back, but hopefully she is able to deliver on this one. She's talking about releasing the MLK files, the RFK files, the JFK files, 9/11 files,
And Epstein.
Yeah, and that's a big one. And it's every single one of them. Any of those that we can get, we'll take. That's for sure. But hopefully, we get them all. Might be information overload. We might see some heads explode around the country and the world. But you know what? So be it. We want the truth.
Yep.
And at least they're out there saying it now, making it making it public that this is their intentions. As with most everything we're going to talk about tonight. I'm sure there's some Democrat judge going to try to block whatever the task at hand is. So we'll have to work
Right.
around some of that stuff and do the
You can't even
legality.
call them Democrat judges. They're activists.
Yeah,
They're
straight up.
just guys who are funneled in through some kind of financial means, and they just do whatever they want.
Right, 100%. And it's just yeah, they're activists, but they also hold the title of judge, unfortunately. Pretty ridiculous, some of these people, what they're trying to do and prevent. I saw Ro Khanna. You might have seen it in my video that I put out this afternoon, actually, that Ro Khanna was out here saying that Elon Musk should be passing his information to Congress, and then Congress should be voting on the spending, the budget, everything that Elon's proposing through Doge. And it was just like, bro, if we kick it to Congress, guess what they're going to do? They're going to
Nothing.
argue about it continually, sue each other back and forth until months go by. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah. And it was funny because at one point, after Ro Khanna gave his whole spiel, Pierce Morgan goes, but they can do that, right? It's legal. And he's like, well, it's debatable, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, so more debating in Congress. Yeah, the last thing we need. We didn't vote for debating in Congress. We voted for what we said plenty of times before in the past, that we elected Trump, who was promising to head up Elon, head up Doge with Elon. And that's what we got, and that's what we wanted. But yeah, it's pretty funny. Just like, no, thanks. We don't want Congress to deliberate over anything. They can hardly get they can hardly agree that to confirm Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, and some of these other people, what Pete Hegseth, there was a 50-50 tie that JD Vance had to come down and break the tying vote. But on that note, thankfully today, Tulsi Gabbard was confirmed, and I'm seeing reports that RFK Jr. was preliminarily approved, like 53-47 or something like that. So we'll get into that, but there's still the final vote that has to come down for RFK Jr. It might happen tonight while we're live. Some people are saying they expect it tomorrow, but that's more good news. We need Trump's cabinet in there working. Let's see what else we got. There's an American teacher that was freed from Russia while Biden couldn't do anything for him for years. He made sure he got Brittany Griner released, traded the Merchant of Death dude with the title Merchant of Death for Brittany Griner, but left the American teacher who was, from what I understand, wrongfully imprisoned, sitting in a Russian prison.
Right.
And then
she got in there because she just blatantly took a weed pen through a TSA line through the Russian airport. So it's like, it wasn't even like she did anything that was like, oh, it's so worthy of, like, we need to make sure we vindicate these charges. It was like, no, you were an idiot. So you're an idiot for a crazy war criminal, or a gun runner, rather, racketeer.
What are you doing as an American? I don't care if you're playing in WNBA or not. Why are you going to Russia in the first place, dude? Like, and I mean, dude, like, man.
The world may never know with her. I'm still undecided, to be honest.
But and also, from what I understand, there was another Trump has secured the release of an American being held in Belarus. So that was today as well, that we'll look into. I just kind of read the highlights on that one and stuck it in the outline. So I wanted to delve into that deeper here on the show. The Gulf of Mexico has officially been renamed the Gulf of America, according to Google Maps. You can pull up your phone right now, and it'll say Gulf of America on the map, which is pretty funny. I did hear that that's only to Americans that see it like that, but I don't care. That's all. America is the only place I'll go. So,
would you see what Moon Pie had a viral tweet? The creators of the Moon Pie, like the little dessert food. They in response, because they're probably owned and ran by a bunch of liberal and insane people, they declared that Florida is now Moon Pie Town. It had like 300,000 likes on X. It was like this massive viral tweet from a brand, because people keep trying to poke fun at, like, this is one of the dumbest things we keep doing for Congress. And it's like, who cares? It should be the Gulf of America. Like, who runs this? Like, who owns this coast here? Not Mexico.
Right. I was looking at it too. I was like, I think there's probably more miles of American coast in that Gulf than there is Mexican and Central American coast. And so,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, even if they had more miles, it's like, who can defend it? We
right.
can.
That's true. Who's guarding
Let's
the
find
Gulf of
out.
Mexico? That's for sure. It's definitely coming off of our southern tip of Florida. I'm sure that's where a lot of the patrols that, you know, you pretty much can't get into the Gulf of Mexico without going past that southern tip of Florida. So
Right.
I'm sure that's mostly us. Let's see here. What else we're gonna get into? Oh yeah, Trump has announced that Ukraine will not join NATO. That's a big one. Pete Hegseth actually gave a little speech. We'll look into what both guys had to say about that. And
Well, that one's
the
actually super unfortunate because now we're at square one. We're back to square one again, and all it took was millions of people dying to get there. So we're back to where we should have been in the first place before the Biden admin took over.
well, that's true. But to go along with that, Trump has announced that there will be meetings. He's going to be talking to. Actually, it's not him. It's I think it's Marco Rubio and somebody else is going to be going over there and having discussions with both parties, Putin and Zelensky, and both people have indicated that they're ready to negotiate and start the talks with the Trump administration as far as how we can get this war wrapped up. So we'll see where that leads. One thing for sure is Russia is not going to give up any of the territory that they've conquered anytime soon. So the liberal tiers or Democrats are going to cry about that, and they're going to say that Trump basically
Works for Russia.
Gave up to Russia or whatever. But as we know, that's obviously everything has happened under Biden's watch. It hasn't happened under Trump's watch, and Trump is just trying to end the war. And frankly, he shouldn't care. I don't care. At least in my opinion, I don't think he should care where they redraw the new lines. A lot of people died in that war, and I just don't see Russia. I don't see Putin giving up the land after sacrificing all those folks and everything like that in war. But at the same time, I'm hearing that Ukraine is ramping up their recruitment process. So now they're trying to push real hard for young people. They've kind of run through, like they started with the older people first, and now they've gotten down to the younger people, and they're really incentivizing education. We'll pay for your education, like lots of benefits that come with signing up right now in Ukraine. So although they're willing to negotiate, they're still trying to bolster their military. And then
sad story all around.
Yeah, for sure. And then another one's pretty cool. That $59 million that was given to that USAID gave to FEMA last week has been reclaimed. So that's pretty good. That's a win for sure. I thought that money was just gone. But if you guys don't know, that was a story where USAID last week, after being told not to spend anymore, gave $59 million to FEMA, who then gave it to 5-star hotels, things like that, to facilitate illegal immigrants in 5-star hotels. So getting that money back, that's a big one. That's a big win for sure. And then finally, if we have time, Cincinnati's Children's Hospital denied J.D. Vance's 12-year-old relative a heart transplant because she is not poked, right? The old 2020 hangover is lingering in the medical field, and so that's no good as well. A lot of people have been excuse me, a lot of people have been denied health care because of that.
Right. It's pretty aggressive too, because when you think about it, if you need a blood transfusion, something were to happen to you, they don't have a process that, even knowing what we know now, no active process that kind of separates the blood that's been poked and blood that's not been poked. You would think that something that we should be implementing as soon as possible, knowing what we know it does to the DNA and the sequencing and the genome and the effects. You would want at least some kind of process where you could opt in to say, hey, we would like to separate this. We would like this process to allow me the choice or the freedom of choice to not put that in my body. I think it's just a gross understatement to say like that needs to be done and implemented as soon as possible. because I don't think that anyone should be subject to those just because there's not a option for it.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's just insane. It's my mind is blown that that's the culture that's still going on in the hospital world. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, I really don't want to get sick and have to rely on these woke assholes to give me healthcare, because I'll admit it, I avoided everything that had to do with that sickness. I
Right.
won't even do the tests up my nose. You know what I mean? If I'm sick, I'm sick. What is the confirming what it is going to benefit me? So
Right.
I avoided it wholeheartedly. You know, I work from home, so thankfully I was in a unique position where I didn't have to like prove I wasn't sick to go back to work and things like that, because I do believe I caught it a couple times, but
Yeah. No, I definitely caught it early on. There's all the different variants, hard to keep track, hard to know which one you had because they're all kind of decently similar. But for myself, who's a pureblood, I've had nothing ever since like the opening period of 2020.
right. So you never even got the sickness, or did you say?
No, early on I did, like actually like the first couple of weeks,
Oh, okay.
and just nothing ever since. People, and so the crazy thing with that, is people who I knew definitely did get the procedure done were
Mhm.
sick multiple times. In fact, one of them was my roommate who struggled with it. That was when I was like, okay, seems to be there's something off here, because I was like very unhealthy at the time. I was like smoking a bunch, um, was also just like sleeping maybe an hour, a day. This is like
Mhm.
what, man, this is like what, almost 5 years ago now at this point. Um, Completely fine. I'm just living like an idiot college kid, right? And I'm just like, here I am impervious to it. And he's like got himself together, getting this stuff taken care of, and he's brutalized by it.
Dang, that's crazy. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I forgot to set that up beforehand. I always remember to put the song in. I always forget to share my screen. Yeah, Alt Companion. A lot of people did. That's what happened with my daughter as well. Jobs forced people to get it, and you never know with Trump at the helm. There might be some I don't know, grounds for suing or something like that that he's able to open up. We'll have to see if he wants to delve back into that or not. But um, he did with the military. A lot of the military that was laid off because of that, or fired, are not getting like their back pay and reinstated to their rank and stuff like that. Which I think a lot of people probably would just take the pay and skip out on going back to the job. I don't know if I would want to go back to it and take the risk that to the next guy's just going to screw me over too. But
Yeah,
yeah, I would
yeah.
love to see some justice on that.
So I interviewed a individual who was in the military. I won't dox his personality, but he is on my older show if you wanted to find that. He was also discharged for refusing it. He like did a few different things to get around it. He tried filing for the religious exemption, was denied. Ultimately got discharged, and he even said during then, he was like, even if they wrote me a letter and said, "Hey, we apologize, we'll come you back, we'll get rid of your discharge," he was like, "I'm not, no way, like no chance I go back." Um, Another individual, someone who was actually at my wedding as one of my groomsmen, his own uncle was the one who forced him on an exit. And again, I won't name names, but he was the one who was kind of like overseeing it, right? I don't know if it was a direct management, but overseeing it in some way, and ultimately ran into the same issue. So imagine it being inside the family, or one of your own family members is the person who says, "Hey, you need to do this, or we're gonna have to let you go."
Oh, that's
So
rough.
a lot of really rough situations all around.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Hey, what's up, TNT Cycles? Good to see you here, man. So, yeah, before we get into this first story, I do want to ask you guys to make sure you hit the like button, share the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, so we can reach as many people as possible with this good news that we're about to bring to you guys, and this highly engaging, entertaining conversation. No, I've
Yes.
actually, I get a lot of good feedback from our show, dude. And I think if we ever catch the algorithm, I think we have a bright future as far as the show goes. But
Yeah, that's the hope.
anyway,
That's the hope.
anyways, yeah, like I said, make sure you hit the like button, join the Discord. That link is in the description on the YouTube side of things. I see there's a 19 people over on X. If you wanted to click the my profile, I think there's a link to my YouTube. I would appreciate it if you came over there and subscribed, hit that like button on the YouTube video and all that stuff as well, if you're willing to. If not, I'm just thankful to have you guys watching on X as well. For some reason, X just doesn't show me much love in general. I think I'm doing it wrong. I'm not putting out enough of my own, like, I'm not posting right. I'm just reposting other people's stuff for the most part and adding my comments.
Something?
Say what?
Repost the same video with a stupid caption. Yeah, that's what gets you clickbait.
Yeah. I think one of the main tricks to X is to be the first to comment on a big post. Be right there at the top. But
Yep.
well, let's check out this right here. This is Trump. Which one did I pull up? Yeah, Trump announcing that Ukraine will not be joining NATO. Guys, let me know in the chat if the volume is okay.
Today saying that he thinks it's unlikely or impractical. I think probably that's true. I think long before President Putin, they said there's no way they'd allow that. This has been going on for many, many years. They've been saying that for a long time. Today saying that he thinks it's unlikely.
Okay, so the volume is a little bit low on my end, but maybe it's okay for you guys. But that was as high as I could get it. All Companions said the show is great. I found it when y'all covered the Sam Hyde video, got recommended. Oh, that's cool. Steve said he deleted his X, way too much corn on there. Yeah, you know, there's been a heavy cry from people on X to just have it all banned off of there. I don't know if Elon will ever do it though, unfortunately. But that was some of the stuff that Kanye got into last week. Had a disagreement and then started posting just left and right apparently, and then he shut his account down, which, man, that guy kind of lashes out. He has like little hissy fits. It's what I've always called him my whole life. It's a weird dude.
Yeah, well, one of the crazy things with that, you know, on that note, is the fact that porn has been on X for Lord knows how long. It's been there. It's been one of the problems for quite some time. And now all of a sudden, all these conservative influencers come out and they're like, now this is why we should ban Kanye. It wasn't even like the half of them were saying we should ban porn. They're like, we should ban Kanye because he's doing this. And it's like, what about like all of the accounts that are specifically, I mean, you'll see a meme post that'll say, you know, doctor said I'm going to die if I don't see boobs in 48 hours. And it's just, I mean, dude, if you get the unlucky, you click on that, or you're unlucky enough to see a reply to that. It is just OnlyFans recommendations. It's porn videos.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them be like minutes long. And it gets tiring to just have to block all of it, right? You can block as much as possible. I've done it to the point where I really don't see any of that stuff anymore. But you will catch the occasional kind of what do you call them? Ish poster. You'll go click on someone's, it'll be entirely unrelated.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're looking at something like that, and it's like, dude. But at the same time, it does follow suit with the fact that Elon promised that as long as it wasn't illegal, that he wouldn't be banning people for it. So that's, you know, upholding on the free speech absolutism. There's an argument there too, but I would argue on grounds of obscene, not graphic, but like obscenity. If you wanted to look at it, there should be some kind of extra section you can go to on X if people wanted to keep it there.
Right.
But do the best to keep it off of the main algorithm. I think that would be the solution there.
That's my biggest problem with it, because I scroll X live. You know what I'm saying? And so, to your last point there, just give us an NSFW, not safe for work button, so I can turn it off. And that way, like, violence won't come across my feed, corn, you know, things like that. And I can browse safely just by literally clicking the button, and not have to worry about it. But yeah, I kept seeing I kept coming across stuff like that because I like to watch the stupid. I get sucked in. I gotta admit it, when people post fight videos, like we saw Bryson got in a fight with the dude at was it Amfest or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Bryson Gray got in the fight with the other guy,
Misfit Patriot.
Yeah, dude, I'm a sucker for, I love fighting, right? I grew up wrestling. I've been the UFC fan since like UFC 3. I literally just love fighting. So I'm like, oh, these dudes are gonna fight or whatever. I gotta see. And then you scroll down, and then it's just, it's just full of OnlyFans advertisements. Basically, is what it all is.
Well, it'd be really
Everybody
simple.
trying to pull you off of X to the other platform, which is, in my opinion, not productive for X. So I don't understand why Elon is like, it's pulling people off of the platform essentially. So I mean, if I was him, I'd just be like, no, I don't want it.
Well,
But so then I had to quit looking at the fight videos. Sorry to interrupt, but I just
no,
had to
you're
quit looking
fine.
at the fight videos. I started blocking all those accounts that were posting them and everything like that, just because I can't have that crap popping up on during a live, getting your channel in trouble. So
Right. Well, so two things with that. The first is they already have the feature to blur content. You can actually set it yourself when you post something. I'd be like, is this graphic content? Many content creators do that who do their due diligence. They
Mhm.
just click on a button. That way, when it is in the algorithm, it's all blurred out. So it's like if you actually want to see it, you have to click on it. No chance of just like seeing it, when it comes across. People actually get mad if it is graphic content and they don't do that. The second thing would be if you know anything about Elon's like following history, and his kind of tendencies, to me it's no surprise why he does allow it. It seems, he seems to follow a lot of like the girls. He has a lot of very kind of simp tendencies. So to me it's like it's going to be a harder kind of sell to get him to ban something like that, when I think
Mhm.
he's ultimately in the more libertarian side of things, where he's like, I love it. He's like he probably
Right.
enjoys seeing that stuff come across his timeline.
Yeah,
So
I
he's got a
wouldn't
bit of a
either.
different kind of tendency than I think most people. He's not nearly as conservative in that aspect.
Yeah, yeah. I think you hit the hammer on the head with the nail on that one, or vice versa.
Yeah, one way. You get
I said hammer on the head with the nail. TNT said I get the AI hookers in my DMs though. Yeah, you just gotta block them. That's like inevitable. That and the crypto, people will tag your name in like a crypto thing with like 10 other people, and I just block them. Charles C
you
says in 2008 there was no porn on Twitter, none. Even if you tried, you were banned. But Twitter was almost dead. So, but Twitter almost died and sold. I think in 2012. Then the Saudis bought it. Blood Prince invested heavy. Crap now. Yeah, thankfully since Elon's bought it, the platform has got better. It's just that one big issue is still a blaring issue in my opinion. Steve asked, who did Bryson Gray fight? Who did you say it was?
It's Misfit Patriot.
Misfit Patriot. It was a weak fight. I don't even know if a punch landed. One guy fell to his back, and I think he kicked Bryson in the balls, and then that was pretty much it, right? I think
Yeah.
that's what it was. And then he was like, "That's a street fight. It's a street fight." It was very anticlimactic, but it was weird. It was weird. I couldn't believe they actually were willing to throw down.
Yeah. Well, I never even knew who Misfit Patriot was until that video, because I do follow Bryson Gray.
Same.
And the fallout that happened afterwards, I mean, the blowback was really bad for Misfit Patriot. I mean, he kind of went on a tangent. His masculinity got threatened by that. Went on kind of like a posting tirade as well too. So I've seen him in the feed a bit more because it kind of boosted his notoriety or his social clout, because now people know who he is, the guy who fought Bryson Gray. And he's just a really big whiny bitch. I have to be honest with you, and forgive the language too, but there's a certain period and a certain type of guy that like really rubs me the wrong way. And it's him. It's like his type. It's the type that like puts on this super kind of masculine persona, but it's the opposite of that. It's like only in appearance, like nothing in mind or physicality. He ended up posting like a video. He's like, okay, I'm gonna post myself benching this specific weight a couple of times, because Alex Rosen, I think, is the one who challenged him on that.
He likes
And
to
he
take
starts benching it,
shirtless
and he's
selfies
like,
in the mirror.
he's doing like 2 reps. I mean, it was like 2 reps, and like he's going down like a couple inch, and it's like everything he's doing is making it worse. And then one thing that made it really bad was somebody pointed out, I can't remember who it was, pointed out that he has been crowdfunding off of his relatives' injuries. He's been doing that multiple times now. So it'd be like,
Mm.
like there's like 3 different posts about his grandma having cancer, and he's been raising money. But it's like no one knows if like she actually has cancer. Is his grandma like a real lady? Like all this kind of weird stuff that came from it. So if you do follow Misfit Patriot, I'm sorry to say, but you probably have terrible political opinions. But that's who he is.
That's funny. I've never actually looked into him much. The first time I heard about him, like you, was that whole Bryson situation, and then it still wasn't enough for me to be interested in checking him out.
Right.
But what's up, Titan? Titan, good to see you there, bud.
Oh, what's up? Where all the white women at? Yeah. You tell me, brother.
It's fun.
Also, and good luck. I don't know if you ever got back with anybody in the Discord, but I did hope your date went well. I don't know if that was a while ago or recent, but I do remember you saying that.
Let's see here.
Never put you on the spot or anything.
I skipped ahead. I got to get caught up. Tix Bomber, how's it going, Atlas? Tyler, how's everybody in chat on this wonderful Wednesday? I'm doing good. You know, if you're in the Discord, you saw me post that the mist is back. The dew was heavy last night, and if you have been following along, I got sick all of January, so I certainly fear the dew. And got to tell you, my lungs were a little heavy today, and so I had to take me a nap this afternoon. But I will admit, I've been staying up to about 11 o'clock every night, working, recording, editing, stuff like that. I'm really trying to up my output of daily videos and things like that. So I appreciate everybody that's clicking on those and watching them to the end. That's one of the big key factors. Is little insight into the YouTube algorithm, real quick. When you post a video, it tests your video on your subscribers, and you need about 8 to 10% of those folks to watch your videos for it to be suggested to like the next group of people. And so if you ever want to support any particular YouTuber, make sure you click on their videos when you see them suggested. And then even if you can't watch it, let it play to the end. You know, make sure you hit the like button, all that type of stuff. But anyways, that's
you know, you gotta smash that thing. You're gonna hit that thing so hard. You need a new computer by tomorrow.
Right. You're gonna need a new keyboard or screen for your phone.
Yeah. You want to make that phone look like a 16-year-old high school girl's iPhone. That thing has cracks everywhere, all over the screen.
Even if it's brand new.
Right.
But good to see you there, Tix Bomber. Okay, so then we have Pete Hegseth, actually. He made a statement about this as well. Sorry, my little dog is just yapping. I don't know what her problem is. My wife is volunteering at church tonight, so I don't have a dog tamer out there.
A dog whisperer. Yeah, obliterate the like button. Yes, I like that. Teabag it. Yeah, there you go, TNT.
That's really funny. So yeah, this is Pete Hegseth talking about NATO, Ukraine joining NATO.
No, not what Donnie said.
Does not believe that NATO.
Making me laugh. I gotta pay attention here, Donnie.
The United States does not believe that.
Hey, what's up, BB? He's he or she. I'm not sure, to be honest. I met him over on our friend. Yeah, I'm just you know, I don't want to offend anybody, but misgendering them as a male or a female. I'm staying within the realm of the two, man, at least. No, but
what's up, they?
Yeah. I met BB over there in the comment section on our friend Dirty Money's channel. And so you guys know Dirty Money from the Discord. He's another content creator. He's a trash man, and he streams live all day at work. It's pretty cool, actually. It's entertaining. It sucks me in when I click on it. I end up watching for a good 20-30 minutes usually. At least have it on my phone while I'm working. But he's a good dude, and he's actually he's usually in chat. It doesn't look like he's here tonight, but he might be coming on the show Saturday. If not Saturday, I know Atlas has some stuff going on Saturday. I think you're moving or something like that.
Yeah, I'll be gone all day Saturday.
You'll be gone. Okay, so we might actually we might have Dirty Money come on sometime next week. But I know Saturdays are best for him because he's hustling out there Monday through Friday. But we'll
gotta convert him to be a Christian nationalist. That's why he's gotta come on when I'm on.
We did a test run on StreamYard last night. He's got a beard that matches, so at least we got that going.
That's good. That's actually the only way you can get on. If you have a shaved face, you will get doxxed. We'll do everything we can to harass you.
Yeah, but nice to have you here there, BB. Okay, so this is Pete Hegseth.
The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement. Instead, any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops. If these troops are deployed as peacekeepers to Ukraine at any point, they should be deployed as part of a non-NATO mission, and they should not be covered under Article 5. There also must be robust international oversight of the line of contact. To be clear, as part of any security guarantee, there will not be U.S. troops deployed to Ukraine.
Thank God.
I muted myself. Yeah, definitely. Definitely love hearing the news that there will not be U.S. boots on the ground in Ukraine. I saw a comment earlier, I think it was in here, that somebody was mentioning that Biden approved long-distance missiles to be used in Ukraine, which, yeah, I'm pretty sure they then sent them over the border into Russia and started hitting targets. So,
yeah, they are ICBMs,
yeah,
but not entirely. There's like a different terminology form. I think it just really stands for intercontinental ballistic missile.
yeah, that is.
But they still have ridiculous ranges to them.
Yeah, Tix Bomber says they can still deploy special ops groups and shit though, which hopefully they don't. I don't want to see any American die over there in that worthless war, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think overall the insane part is the fact that, like, again, like I said earlier, like we're back at square one. Ukraine should have never even entertained the idea of joining NATO, encroaching upon Russia's borders as an adversary. And all it took was what, like I think the estimate now is like 1.3 million people overall between both sides, all dead. Majority, men, young men at that, generations being wiped off the planet from different countries, sure. But ultimately, it's just like, that's absurd. The better thing would have been to have been able to negotiate a way that the territory transfer could have happened without actual kinetic warfare occurring. Ukraine really had no leverage. The only reason they were even willing or able to sustain themselves was because of all of the aid they were getting to defend themselves, knowing that we were kind of reneging back on an argument or a posture about what we would allow Ukraine to do too. Playing with people's lives just to make sure the military industrial complex has something to go forward with. But that's where we're at now too. They're going to negotiate and table a territory swap. I believe that's going to be what's involved with the peace talks here between Zelensky, who, again, dictator, you can call him whatever you want. But there's not been an election when there should have been. Don't know if we paused it or just turned it down. And also too, one of the major things that you have with this issue is the left gets insane about, talking to Russia or doing things that might be halfway appealing to the Russian people or the Russian value system. And that just comes to a critical misunderstanding of how politics and negotiations are. You are supposed to try to do things when you negotiate with your adversary. Having this kind of child's play idea of, well, because they're the bad guy, we can only ever fight them and shoot at them and do things that end up with people dead is an insanely retarded way to look at how you're going to do negotiations. You got to be able to have a way that you can talk trade talks, find compromise, and do things that doesn't get the peoples of the nations killed all the time. But if you were talking to a Democrat, they would have you convinced that the only way you could deal with Russia is finding a way we would blow them off the map, and vice versa. So again, it can't be understated the amount of lost souls caught up in this, and the U.S. has a hand in it. NATO has a hand in it, and everyone else, including Britain and France, largely, who were also the big kind of donators to Ukraine during this time. It's disgusting. It should never have happened. But again, are we going to get any kind of real, investigation in this? Highly doubt it. I think most people will just be settled on the fact that at least it's over. But I can't stand the idea that there are people who facilitate these things, finance these things, and get away with playing with people's lives. The reason why we hate the forever wars, and it's the reason why I hate our foreign involvement everywhere else too.
Well, and you mentioned there's some 1.3 million reported dead, but the problem is it's all propaganda. All those reports are controlled by either Russia or Ukraine, as far as those news sources. And I've heard over 1 million Russians dead in this war. I've heard over 1 million Ukrainians dead in this war. So the numbers are debatable, but the one thing that we all can agree on is it's way too many people, way too many people over just some land. So, 1.3 million is a safe estimate, but really, you kind of, depending on which country is passing you the news that you're hearing it from, um, the numbers are going to change. So unfortunately, this war has been just to kill people. It's like that's all I see about it. Like I don't care about the land. I know Russia has warned multiple times, I don't want NATO up on my borders. We moved up. I say we, but NATO has moved up on their borders everywhere, and they're like, look, this is the last straw. You've backed an animal, a vicious animal, into the corner, and Ukraine joining NATO was the last straw, and they lashed out. Russia lashed out, and I mean, I just imagine like if BRICS nations were moving up on our borders, how we, the United States, would respond. And as I think the American people would all pretty much in unison be like, no thanks, we need to do something about this. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I think what's underplayed in this too kind of misses the ear of the average kind of normie individual. NATO is a large issue with this too. If we're going to do this empire building garbage that we continually find ourselves in, no matter what the people vote, because apparently we're just not a representative republic anymore. The least that we could do is, instead of acting as if all these other countries that don't pitch in militarily, and that the U.S. funds all these other people that can even sustain themselves enough to be in NATO, how about instead of giving them equal votes and all this different say, like, oh yeah, we're brothers here in this alliance, like let's just be an empire then. It's like Britain, if you can't give us about 15% of your GDP for the military funds, okay, you're a vassal state now. You do what we say or you're out of this alliance.
Right.
At least I could accept that kind of iron fist on an empire sitting. But this ideal where they all have equal say and stuff, but yet we're the ones who do the majority of the work. We're the ones who majority of our men and women who do all these things that get sent elsewhere, put boots on the ground. It's just a joke. And if that's the case, I'd rather just pull out of NATO. Like, you guys handle it. Like we'll be our own alliance over here. Like, let's go join Russia and China, and like everyone else can figure it out.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, we're supplying most of the materials, weapons, money, manpower. Without us, is there a NATO? You know what I mean? Really?
Right.
And so, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you there that I just assume back out of it, because ultimately, and this relates to the tariffs too. The world needs the United States a lot more than the United States need them, in my opinion. There's nothing that we can't produce here within our own borders that we might not right now because we've outsourced so many things to China and stuff like that. But I fully believe that we could bring all of our manufacturing back and pretty quickly. You know what I mean? We have the technology, we have the manpower to build the facilities and all that type of stuff. And, hopefully that's one of Trump's next big steps, is that in his tariff wars, we see this lady that's running for Canadian. She wants to, she's ultimately running for the Canadian Prime Minister. She's a lady that shut down the bank accounts of the truckers in that whole the Canadian truckers convoy thing.
Yeah.
And she's out here saying that we're going to match dollar for dollar to the United States on tariffs. And it's just like, go ahead. What do we buy from Canada? Like, I don't know. Like, they say that we buy a lot of energy from them, but we could just tap Alaska. And the funny thing is that Canada can't actually send, and we talked about this on one of the previous shows, that they can't send oil through any pipelines from their Western hemisphere over to their Eastern hemisphere without actually dropping across the United States borders. So, I mean, good luck trying to pass that through our country and cutting off half of your country's, energy supply.
Right.
Trying to match us dollar for dollar. It's just not going to work. We have way too many people. We're way too strong. We're way too smart as a people. Unfortunately, our government has been shaky 12 of the last 16 years. But
right. Well, I think another good comment here to point out too. I think forgive me, I think the name was At Home Wife. She said no more brother wars, but that follows up with the Iceman there too. Christians killing Christians, pointless war.
Yeah.
Pushback with people in the State Department that have had a historical vendetta against Russia for pogroms from hundreds of years ago. And if you look at it from the outside looking in, you had no other idea what's going on. That's exactly what you see. It's really sad, especially when you think of all the videos that we got of so many men trying to not be drafted into this, because there's overwhelmingly groups of them who did not want to go. And I think Tucker even pointed out the fact that they had a secret ballot election in, I forget which area it is, someone could correct me, but there's the area that's been highly debated of who actually controls it, all voted in favor of the Russian, like what Russia wanted to do on the secret ballot, but ultimately that just gets denied. And then you have people like Piers Morgan, who's like, man, Putin's a dictator, but I love Zelensky though. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, they're both dictators. Like, what's the principle here? And it's clearly that one has, the Donbass region. Thank you, House. It's clear that there's there's actually not that principle at play. The principle of like democratic elections and so on and so forth. It is actually this kind of who do you want to win principle. And Piers Morgan fell for that. Whether he wants to see the other side or not, he's been a big proponent of Zelensky, even saying kind of pretty homosexual things like, I love him, he's so charismatic, just like kind of like, okay, like we get the point, guy. Like at a certain point, you got to say no homo when you're talking about Zelensky, because it's kind of throwing me off.
Right.
But again, it's like at the expense of men and women who don't want anything to do with it. Consider another banker war, financing, military industrial complex. Anyone but the people who are fighting it are benefiting from it. And at the end of the day, nobody benefits from it. In fact, it looks like Russia may have pulled out of this. So the BRICS alliance may get more than what they wanted. So we, in fact, strengthened an opposing alliance away from us. And at the end of the day, too, all of that, what it did, it was threatening the fact that BRICS kind of tightened up against what the Americas is and the NATO alliance, too. So all for naught. We just got to sit here and see Democrats scream their heads off about it while everybody loses in the end, who's at least on our side of the geopolitical allegiances.
Right. And then, when it comes to people like Piers Morgan, like you mentioned, he did that interview with Zelensky, which was terrible quality. Whoever that interpreter was horrible. And I believe Zelensky speaks English. So it was kind of just, I'm going to say bullshit from the get go. But his stance that Piers Morgan has said multiple times as far as this goes is that, people will bring up, you don't want to poke the Russian bear. They are a nuclear powerhouse. And why would you risk going to nuclear war with Russia over Ukraine? And he's like, well, he's threatened. Pierce will say, well, he's threatened at every turn to use nuclear weapons, and he never has yet. So why would we think that he's going to the next time? And it's like, once again, you want to risk poking the nuclear bear, the Russian bear with nuclear superpowers, because he hasn't done it yet, right? The guy over there, Putin, has practiced restraint and in not sending the nuke over because, whatever reason he has, fear, just doesn't want to destroy the land that he's trying to actually occupy and use, whatever the case may be. And it's like, how dumb are you to say that? Like, we can take the next step. We can break the next barrier, throw caution to the wind, pay no attention to what Putin is saying, and just keep going and pushing in. And at the same time, Piers Morgan thinks that the United States should spare no expense in defeating and pushing Vladimir Putin out of Ukraine and forcing him to give all of that land back. And it's just like, dude, do you realize how far away the United States are and how that does not help one United States citizen? That helps you in your hometown. Why aren't you out here pushing for NATO to spare no expense? Why aren't you writing a check yourself saying, hey, look here, I'm at least leading by example. Here's $1 million out of my own pocketbook. Let's go buy some bombs. It's just such crap. And I can't help but wonder if that sentiment is the sentiment of a lot of our leaders in NATO from those European countries, thinking that it's the United States' responsibility. And unfortunately, we've had Democrat leaders over the years come out here and say that we must defeat Russia in this war. And it's like, wait a minute, how are we involved other than we're not allowing Russia or Ukraine to join NATO? Like, that's like where it goes. And some people will be like, well, we had this whole deal to defend Ukraine when they gave up their nuclear weapons. But from what I've understood from the whole situation was Ukraine didn't actually owned those nuclear weapons that were inside of their borders before. It was there were Russian nuclear weapons. Russia had the keys to the codes, and so it was like not even Ukraine disarming themselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was getting Russian nukes out of Ukraine. Now that I could be wrong about that, but that's kind of the understanding that I've come to have over the whole situation. And so,
well, I think portion of this you can bunch of different reasons for it. We could break it down pretty simply with a portion of the Russia is a lot of saving face for all the people who are the Rachel Maddow freaks who watch that garbage and believe that stuff. The second portion of it, though, is the fact that you can't understate the trend of this kind of very anti-white, anti-Christian sentiment that seems risen there, whether it's stated or not. Russia being like an 82% Christian nation. Unsure what Ukraine's numbers are, but I know it's pretty decently high too. Pitting themselves against each other. This kind of very, oh, look, it's like the Christians are killing each other again. And that's like our main focus, why this needs to continue on too. There's a bunch of different reasons, when you boil it down and you just take away all the noise and you look at what the consequences are. But ultimately, at least with Trump in office, we'll kind of at least settle down away from this. Obviously, his base expects a big portion of him to be non-interventionist. We spoke to Dan McKnight, just a couple of days ago, and that's obviously his big thing too, right? His big thing is to be as non-intervention as possible, unless it fully has the consent of the American people behind it, which is why he's so ardent on getting that to be the actual process, which is Congress declaring war. Not us just choosing to do so at the whim and sending spec ops out there and not reporting on it, and then letting us forgive me, letting us FS up, if you will, to a certain point, and then finally saying like, oh, see, now we have to go do this stuff. And it's like, yeah, the reason we have to do this now is because you wouldn't get your finger off the scale. And now we have to do something in our involvement because now we've done something that's threatened some other country's national security or anything along those lines too. So the overall thing here too is it's crazy to think that we need to be so involved elsewhere when the country is absolutely grinding to a halt in so many different directions. Everything that we see is still the opposite of America first. That's why it's good that we got Trump in to at least bring us back on that level on some aspects. But again, most of what you saw during the Biden administration was how can we destroy this country as fast as humanly possible? So we're kind of just bailing water now at this point.
Right. 100% agree. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I was gonna say, and to the point there you were mentioning about Dan McKnight was he wants Congress to declare war like they're supposed to, and this is where I'll need House's help. I'm sure you know this off the top of your head, but I believe Congress hasn't actually declared war in decades, and so a lot of the things that we've been, yeah, we're talking about 80 years if that's the case, and so like, without actually declaring war, we have like these weird wars. You know what I mean? It's just like it's almost an overstep just to do what we've been doing for so many years or whatever. I don't know how to like describe it, but I don't know how to describe how they actually like get us into these wars without Congress declaring it like they're supposed to. But
well,
whatever.
I mean, Tix has a really good way of saying it. Forgive me again. You send in the CIA and the spec ops, they destabilize the region. And all of a sudden now there's a problem that needs a solution. And
well, we saw that with Saddam Hussein.
Right. Well, the reason they bypass Congress, forgive me, is they ultimately they start slow. They do things, they lie to the American people, first of all. I mean, that's the big major point in this too. But they do so by financing a lot of this, right? They do so with what we see with all the USAID, similar stuff, not always USAID, but ultimately doing financier programs, ensuring certain groups can do it. And a lot of the times what they do is like, the famous meme, right? It says my tax dollars, somehow also my tax dollars. But in that, it's not American people in there where, that famous image is like on the Middle East, where we know we've funded both sides of the Middle East conflict. And that's because what they do is that they're trying to ramp it up to a point in which they can say, oh, look, see, now we got to go do this over here, guys. Like, see, and it's like, yeah, remember when you helped fund both of those groups behind all of that? It's at a certain point, we've kind of picked up on the pattern here. Most people can kind of see it. So, which is why everyone's so adamantly wanting to be non-interventionist, because it's hard to trust any kind of politician, and let alone on the aspect of needing to go to war for somebody too. You know, if they're coming here and it's homeland security issues and China docks on our borders, that's one thing. But trying to convince the American soldier to get sent out to the middle of Afghanistan to go shoot at some guy with a turban on his head is like, okay, we're done with that.
Yeah, and to get that guy to agree to go, you have to do something. And like I said, we're going to get into this whole filed release task force. But when they look into 9/11 and maybe find out that it wasn't exactly the story that they told us, they led us into that war. You know what I mean? It's kind of along the same lines of what you're talking about. Mentioned they destabilized the Middle East by removing Saddam Hussein, who, yeah, a dictator and not a good guy, but also had all the little sects of the little cells in check because they were scared of him. And then all of a sudden, when the cat's away, the mice play, right? But thank you, House. He mentioned the last time Congress declared war was on June 5th, 1942. I appreciate you looking that up or just typing that out. Probably had it in your head. House is a smart guy. Dirty Money commented, "What's up, y'all? Celebrating with my grandma on her birthday, showing some love. Keep up the good work, y'all." Yeah, man. Happy birthday to your grandma. I appreciate you for stopping in for a few minutes with us. BB was in here earlier. I don't know if they're still around, but
yeah, thanks everybody for being here.
Yeah, definitely.
One added point to that too is how quickly we see news stories fall out of circulation. I think, for example, two big ones you can think of would be here recently. We had back-to-back issues of all of these crazy drones that dominated the news cycle. Story is gone. We have never gotten a clear answer about that. Second thing was also the Cybertruck bomber. Crazy story. Sean Ryan has him on this podcast, and I think Sean Ryan is intelligence. It's hard to trust that. Former intelligence at that too. But ultimately, a lot of the reasons why you see that this stuff kind of immediately exits the news cycle and gets dropped by all of these people is twofold. First of all, and we even got evidence from the USAID funds showing that a lot of the news organizations that are being funded, New York Times, Politico, BBC, they're state media, they're propagated. Second thing with that, most newsrooms are a closed loop propaganda cycle. They are filled with former intelligence officers and work hand in hand with people who are, whether they're contracted on paper or have had some kind of inside incestuous relationship. So they do kind of perpetuate intelligence agency operatives and operations. But the main point here is the reason why you see these stories fall out of the news cycle is because they don't stick. The narrative just doesn't stick. So when the drones thing, the story, just like people were more concerned that the US was behind the drones and they couldn't pin it on Iran to build sentiment for us to be in that kind of war readiness mode. They drop it. They're like, okay, we got to go to something else. Everybody thinks flags. Right. Yeah. All of these kind of things that they do to drum up with false flag. And they do that because they want to get the sentiment from the American people. So even though they're not using the process of Congress to actually vote for war, they still, at least on some level, need to build the sentiment, whether how artificial astroturfed it is,
right,
to convince people that there are a lot of people who really hate Iran. And so that's why we're going to be doing these things. But that's why you see the news cycles disappear in these different stories, is because it didn't stick. Narrative wasn't good enough. We didn't convince enough people that Iran was behind all these drones. Okay, find something else. We'll figure it out later down the road. And it's controlled by these former intelligence people too. So it's just an aggressive cycle, but that's one we've been accustomed to for quite some time.
Right. Well, for those of us who were old enough to remember and experience 9/11, that I think was the perfect. And I'm not saying this was a false flag, but it was a learning lesson of how a false flag would rally, or an incident would rally the American people as a whole. They threw out the politics, which not everybody. There was a lot of Republicans. Fox News was very pro, let's get into this war and get them. There was some Democrats that were bit more hesitant, wanted more proof that there was weapons of mass destruction and everything that like it kind of turned into. And maybe I'm actually mixing the two up. No, I think that was the kind of turned into that, I think, if I remember correctly. But because it morphed. Like our response morphed from seeking out bin Laden in Afghanistan to everything else over there, you know, because immediately we knew that it was bin Laden who did it somehow. And so, you know, to this file release task force, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they release, and I hope they're not just blowing smoke up our butts, because I would really love to know what they know about 9/11 and these other things, JFK, RFK, MLK Jr., and of course the Epstein files.
Right. Well,
but the way that America responded to that was like, you know, told a tyrant, a government leader, whatever, that wants to get something done, oh, wow, something like this gets the American people unified. And so then that's like where now you got to be careful of false flags even more so, because they want to go to war with Russia now. You know, just we know what their kind of goals are. We see it.
Well, you know, I'm on the very, you know, hard end of that, which is I do definitely believe 9/11 was a false flag attack.
Right. I mean, they found the ID of the guy on the ground. Like, that's just so stupid. That's just like the dumbest thing. But at the time when everybody's brains are bruised from like, it's literally like a trauma whenever something like that happens. And people are vulnerable to accept kind of what's being presented to them in those situations as well.
Right. Well, 9/11 at the time was, you know, very controversial for you to say anything outside of what the narrative was. You know, I can remember distinctly the video of Luke Rudkowski with We Are Change getting thrown out of a press conference room because he was interviewing, I can't remember what his name is. It's like Finkelstein or Silverstein. I can't remember what his name is, but ultimately the guy who like owned one of the towers, or maybe both of them, who just magically happened to not be there that day.
I can't remember.
They got some kind of like you know, notification to not be there.
House knows.
Yeah, I'm sure House knows, definitely. But that's why I think they've learned from their mistakes. 9/11 was actually so big and had so many holes that not only is it now like the opening, when you want to like send somebody down the rabbit hole, it's like, okay, well, let's start with 9/11, because this is the first one that you can send to somebody who maybe is like on the edge of like, yeah, the government definitely lies, but like they would never lie about something like that, right? And then you show them like 9/11 and Zeitgeist, and you go down that hole. It's too big. And that's why I think they changed their formula to smaller events, which are less kind of publicized, but they kind of shotgun you. So it's so many different smaller events that it's not going to have all the attention that 9/11 had, because 9/11 was a massive event. I mean, it changed the culture for the worse for a very long period. I mean, it's the reason why we have TSA now. So many things came from that. But that's why I think you see the smaller scale things of like Christmas attack here, guys drives through, you know, kills 20 people, and then it's out of the news cycle. Next one is, again, all these other like instances that are all done for the same reasons, which is, you know, to encourage and build the sentiment so the people at the top can ensure they get what they need to get done. But with that too, you know, I'm glad we're moving on to the task force, because I think there's a bit of the debate on this will be my opening stance with it when it comes to the task force. This is actually no different than you telling the American people that we need someone to we need someone to read it for us before they give it to us. And I am similar on the same wavelength of Harrison Smith on this, which is, how about you just release the files as was promised, and not run them through a kind of plan that needs to have multiple hands on from government officials, and give them to the American people. So some people are just glad, you know, that this is happening and so on, and like that's cool. But I think there's a certain level though with that too, which is like, I really am not a big fan of Anna Polina Luna in the first place, but then you add this kind of face to it as well. Like, oh, look, I'm this really pretty girl who like shows my ass on Twitter. I'm going to do this work. It's like, to me, it's like, just release the files.
Stuff that you want to hear.
Right.
That's the thing. So it's like, you got to look out for the bait and switch with this person.
Yeah, and I'm on the side of the where it's like I would rather just like read some cool thread that had built up a bunch of like impressions because somebody went and looked at it and found a really good way to break things down and provide analysis, and we can kind of go back and forth off of it in the free marketplace of ideas, so we can see and digest it and as a whole. Not that the government is like, well, trust the experts. We're going to go through this with you. And I think ultimately, most people have a feeling that there is a specific reason for why these files need to be touched and edited and redacted, most likely,
Right.
because the collaborators and the questions of what foreign involvement may be there, they're going to ensure that they hide that and obfuscate that as much as possible. So that's what I'm disappointed in the most, especially for as many promises as we got. We're going to release the files, to executive orders to give me a plan, to now we're on a task force. Is like, at a certain point, just drop the files or just call the American people stupid, or at
Right.
least at a certain point, we know you're trying to hide something.
Right. Drop the files and let the American news source, alt media, everybody just do their thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Give up everything as far as what's it called when they uh the dang, I can't think of it right now, where they file freedom of information. Yeah, Freedom of
Yeah,
Information Act.
FOIA
Yeah.
request.
Yeah, do FOIA requests, get that information, have none of it redacted, and uh let's wise up the American people so that we can move forward from the smartest position possible, right? The most informed position possible. Otherwise, we're just a bunch of jackasses believing lies. Nobody's on the same page. And let's get on the same page and let everybody understand that this is what happened. We can call it bad, and then we can learn from our mistakes and move forward. That's one thing that the American country has done since its inception, was learn from our mistakes. That's
Right.
why we don't have slavery anymore. That's why we don't have, you know, mercury in a bunch of shit anymore. That's why we don't,
Right.
example after example, we learn from our mistakes and we get better from it and we improve. And if we
No, I
don't, we
wholeheartedly
can't,
agree.
and if we can't figure out what our mistakes were, how can we not be doomed to repeat them again, right? And so just drop the information, be like, yo, the files are here now. Like Elon did it with the Twitter files, which I gotta say, the Twitter files were really hard to keep up with. You almost had to like keep up with them on a daily, and
Yeah, with Matt
they became
Taibbi and Jim Jordan.
boring like real fast. Like I almost needed the quartering. That was my go-to to find out what was going on in the Twitter files. Was I needed somebody to like filter through it and tell me the highlights. And that's why I say, like, with this, just drop the information, let the American people go through it, and then we'll pick and choose the highlights, the most important relevant things. We'll magnify that, and we'll spare everybody from reading through entire books of jargon. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
before we move
Well,
on fully to the file
yeah, go
release
ahead.
task force, I want to actually read this quote from Donald Trump, uh, and just wrap up kind of the conversation over Ukraine and Russia real fast. And so I got this post here. This was on Truth Social from Trump, and he said, "I just had a lengthy and highly productive phone call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. We discussed Ukraine and the Middle East energy, artificial intelligence, the power of the dollar, and various other subjects. We both reflected on the great history of our nations and the fact that we fought so successfully together in World War II, remembering that Russia lost tens of millions of people, and we, likewise, lost so many. We each talked about the strengths of our respective nations and the great benefit that we will someday have in working together. But first, we both agreed we want to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war with Ukraine and Russia. President Putin even used my very strong campaign model of common sense. We both believe very strongly in it. We agree to work together very closely, including visiting each other's nations. We have also agreed to have our respective teams start negotiations immediately. And we will begin by calling President Zelensky of Ukraine to inform him of the conversation, something which I will be doing right now. I've asked Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of the CIA John Ratcliffe, National Security Advisor Michael Walls, and Ambassador and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff to lead the negotiations, which I feel strongly will be successful. Millions of people have died in a war that would have happened that would not have happened if I were president, but it did happen, so it must end. No more lives should be lost. We want to thank President Putin for his time and effort with respect to this call and for the release yesterday of Mark Fogel, a wonderful man that I personally greeted last night at the White House. I believe this effort will lead to a successful conclusion, hopefully soon. And then, excuse me, I'm telling you that fog, it weighted down my lungs again. It's annoying. Back to coughing, but then Luke Rakowski posted another one from Donald Trump's Truth Social. I just spoke to Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine. The conversation went very well. He, like President Putin, wants to make peace. We discussed a variety of topics having to do with the war, but mostly the meeting that is being set up on Friday in Munich, where Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio will lead the delegation. I am hopeful that the results of the meeting will be positive. It is time to stop this ridiculous war where there have been massive and totally unnecessary death and destruction. God bless the people of Russia and Ukraine. So he's being very transparent, which is cool. And, hopefully he can wrap this up. I did see a Democrat in the comments down here saying he said he would do this on day one. And it's like, get out of here. Like, you guys can't ever just take a win. You can't ever just take the victory when you have it. It's so stupid. Oh, man. So just wanted to kind of introduce that. Those are all posts from today. Big news as far as getting that war ended. President Trump is on the task, and apparently Zelensky and Putin are willing to have the conversation. We know they were willing to have that conversation a couple years ago, and the ex-British Prime Minister, I can't think of his name, intervened and basically shut down all the peace talks, which is a whole nother can of worms in itself. But let's go ahead and move forward now with this this file release task force. We'll start here. So I apologize. I just wanted to wrap that up because I had those left on the agenda. But this is a post from the Daily Mail. MAGA head of JFK files task force claims there were 2 shooters and pledged to uncover more secrets. So that already is a little nugget of information that people have speculated over. Conspiracy theorists have mulled over for decades. And now they're basically suggesting that there was a second shooter in the JFK assassination. Luna made clear her. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, really, it's my belief that there is a specific reason why they just won't give all of the files. I think that there is a very damaging thing, of which relates to a foreign country. And I think that's why we are getting such a digested formatting of this. Plan to uncover more is like, again, it speaks to what I just said earlier, which is like, just release them. Like
Yeah.
To me, it's just, I don't care how damaging it is. It's like, the American people have been getting lied to for God knows how long, probably since America's been a thing. At a certain point, if you ever want the country to find a way back to an ability in which you can trust politicians, and that there's not always going to be this level of hatred that exists for these people, and we're supposed to be representative of us, you have to start somewhere. But again, on a smaller note too, I think that's why she was chosen in particular. I think it kind of escapes away some of the attacks that may happen from it. People are going to be irritated by it as well. To me, I have a very specific belief of the reason why I think that they're doing this. But to say as if like we're going to uncover more, it's like, I don't want the government to be doing this. Like, I want you to give it to people that I trust more than anyone in that office. And I don't care that Trump appointed this person there. I don't trust this woman. I know she's a representative from Florida. I didn't know she said some things that wow, like the Simps clap and cheer. But to me, it's like I just want the very transparent process of this. We've went years now of people who don't deserve pardons, like Dr. Fauci, Hunter Biden, to now, how long has it been since we've known Epstein is a thing? There's no justice that's been there. January 6th defendants have spent more time in prison than anyone involved in these kind of efforts, whether this, this blackmail ring that we do know exists. Diddy's case is kind of what just poof, gone, disappeared. What's happened with that? How about instead of constantly protecting the people who have outright been annihilating this country for, 6 ways from Sunday, we just throw it all on the table. And we just look at ourselves and we say, hey, should we have some form of revolution here where we just get rid of all these people right now immediately? Does there need to be some kind of reformation done in the American system that we just kind of, we say, you know what, we're going to nuke all of this? Whether that it threatens Trump's, ability to finish a term, I don't even care. The fact that we have been having this go on for some time now is a spit in the face of everyone who pays 40% in taxes, a spit in the face of everyone who's had their children be harmed by this industrial complex. And when you look at the very top, you look at, well, then who was, like, right, with the Ghislaine Maxwell thing, who was she blackmailing? Who were her clients? Why do we not have a list of that? Who are the collaborators with that? Who corroborated with this? I don't care if it exposes some kind of great disinterest of like, oh, there's like this some foreign entity out here that's doing this. So be it. I don't care. And but the reality is my belief is that there is such a thing there. There is such a disinterest in sharing all of this as holistically as possible, because it will threaten this great narrative, which is who America's greatest ally is. And I'm with TNT, said this earlier. I would trade Russia for Israel in a heartbeat. I don't like, I just like, there's comes a certain point where it's threatening so much and there's such subversion that's happening, and all at the expense of, namely, like Christian values too, this kind of very specific pattern you see over and over again. It's like, I don't care. I want full transparency. And it makes me actually
That's
not
it.
like
You convinced me. I'm pro Putin.
Right. Dude, I'll be for Putin before I am for, the leader of that other country over them over there. But
in Shapiro's favorite country. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's just at a certain point, it's like,
and I like TNT's
so obvious. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I like TNT's point where he mentioned, let me scroll up here. I see absolutely no reason not to be an ally with Russia. Their landmass is huge and we would be a great resource, a great source of raw materials. Not to mention, they're like 50 miles off the coast of Alaska. And we're going to have this as we move into the next like 20 years and the ice melts above Canada. There's going to be this highway for Russia to through the sea to travel between Greenland and Canada, and it'd be a much better situation if we didn't have to spend trillions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars building bases and everything to make sure that those borders are all secure, because ultimately the northern Canada region shares land mass with America. Imagine if we had the issue that we have on our southern border going on our northern border, right?
Right.
And so, excuse me. And so I totally agree that it would be a benefit to both countries to be allies. And House also mentioned this before I lose track of it, that President Trump confirms the U.S. will continue to send secured aid to Ukraine in exchange for rare earth. If we didn't do that, then Putin would be able to say that he won. And from what I understand, it's like 500 billion, I think, or maybe I got the number wrong. Maybe it was 50 billion in rare earth minerals and stuff like that are coming back to the United States from Ukraine. So definitely a win as far as negotiations, and a reason for us to, you know what I mean? At least something coming back out of all the nonsense.
Yeah,
so I kind of derailed you there. I apologize. I wanted to read those two chats though.
No, you're totally fine. I think with what House had said there, you look at the end of that quote that he had posted, right? Which is, because Putin will say he's won. That goes back to the whole like saving face. It's like at a certain point, and I've said this a million times, like I do not care what the media has to say. Like we know the media is a load of horseshit.
Right.
Who cares? Putin could say whatever he wants. Did it mean that people stopped dying? Like, can that be like what we prioritize, and like not care what like New York Times is going to put on the front page on Monday?
Yeah, what kind of fodder the Democratic Party can use against Republicans and Trump?
Right. What's to say? It's like imagine you have two people, right? you have someone like myself who's talking just like how I am right now. And beside me, you have a homeless guy whose hair's frazzled out. He looks like Albert Einstein. And for the last 20 minutes, he says hot dogs can take him to Mars. At a certain point, you go, okay, dude, this guy's insane. Let's how about we just ignore what this guy is saying? You just go, you're insane. You're actually kind of delusional. You need help, and everything you're bringing to the table right now is not helpful, nor does it really mean anything. So we're just going to ignore you. Say whatever you want, but we're actually going to probably move this conversation over here. Something along those lines of at a certain point, you make that choice of, wow, who cares what these people have to say? And once you stop giving attention to it, it will die.
Yeah.
But the longer you bend the knee and care about your likability, it will continue and continue. At a certain point, you have to go, who cares? Be the fascist they want you to be. I want you to be that fascist. So just have some cojones to not care what they want to say.
Right. I mean, the same mainstream media people were telling Americans that Trump is going to be this whole big threat, fascist, whatever. He won the election, so just be it. Right. Just do it. Just be it. Screw it. Everybody that knows better. And we're all going to be better off for it, I think, in the long run. So let's play this video here. This is Anna Paulina Luna. This is just a portion of it. I think they actually spoke for like 8 minutes, but this is a 1.5-minute clip.
It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files. This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship. On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson, Crane, Gill, and Mace will be joining me, although I'd like to note that I'm expanding this to the entire governing body and will be allowing certain members to waive on. Our first hearing is set for March. The date will be announced soon, and we've already initiated close to a dozen communications with various agencies, to include Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State. This will no longer be a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long.
And here's my biggest thing with that. We already know these files exist. Right. We actually have word from Trump that Mike Pompeo said not to release these files. But now we're acting as if we need to get to the bottom of something. It's like, do they exist or not? Did Mike Pompeo lie? Did Trump lie that he saw something that didn't actually exist? No, you have them. You're just trying to give us the Reader's Digest version. So we don't see what's going on there. And it's entirely side note too. Probably a lot of people feel this way too. I just seeing another woman get elected to be not elected, but be put in position like that. I just like, dude, I hate women. Like that literally just like the burning thought I have is like, bro, go in the kitchen somewhere, dude. Why this incessant thing for Trump to put these women in place? Not to say like they don't have value, they can't do the job decently, but at a certain point, it's like, why did he keep doing this? Right? What was her name? Caroline Levitt being put in as the press, is it the press secretary? I think is her name. Caroline.
Yeah. That's her name.
Where's Alex Jones? Where's Michael Malice? Where's anyone else who could fill that position and knock him out of the park? But instead we get like, wow, look at this pretty girl. She's very pretty, right? And it's like, yeah, she's doing a B- job. That's cool. But like, I want Michael Malice in there being like, hey, you dumb MFer. Like, how would you get out of my newsroom? I would prefer that. And that would be cool. That'd be a more basic thing to do. And that's why
he's so funny. If he gets a question, he's like, that question was retarded and I'm not going to answer it.
Right. Exactly. Right. Get rid of that kind of PC nature to things and be like, oh, well, yeah, definitely. It's like, no, how about Michael Malice in there? And the only person he lets ask questions is Peter Doocy. No one else is allowed to even speak. Peter Doocy. Peter Doocy. Yeah, you again. Just like ignore everyone else.
Like,
That
if you
would be
guys are gonna
cool.
ask stupid questions, I'm not gonna call on you. We're not here to waste people's time and play into your political bullshit. It's
Right.
so funny.
Right.
Steve said he's got to get off here and get some work done. Hey, Steve, man, I appreciate you for being here. It's always a pleasure having the conversation with you. I appreciate all your chats and everything like that. So yeah, man, go do your thing. Hopefully, you don't got to work too late. And I don't know if you're into it, but if you're a Discord type of person, if you got a Discord account, man, click the link in the description and join the Discord. A lot of these folks that are commenting on Atlas's side of things and on my side are in there. We have a lot of good conversations, just kind of continually going. So it'd be cool to see you in there. But if not, no big deal. But have a good night, Ben.
Well, if you don't, never come back. Like, just don't even attempt to comment again.
But yeah, Carolyn Levitt is doing a pretty dang good job. I would actually give her an A rating, and I think I'll admit I haven't seen 100% of what she's doing, but I think she's actually doing a pretty good job. I think Trump appointing women is his kind of way of virtue signaling that he's not this misogynist. Yeah, thank you. From that the left will label him. You know what I mean? So I think that's his attempt. That's him trying to counter some of the attacks like preemptively. But that just could be that just could be what I think or whatever, my opinion.
Right.
Bobcat. Hey, what's up, Bobcat? Haven't seen you for a while, man. Carolyn seems to be doing pretty dang good. Yeah, man. Hope you're doing good as well, by the way. Haven't seen you in a while. But
I think
Caroline
Levitt's trash.
What's that?
I think Caroline Levitt's trash. I'm being a bit loose with that, but really, no. I mean it. Like, I don't care about pretty good. Like, if it's Trump, it's like just put the big dog in there. Put Alex Jones in there. Put all these guys in there that would fill that position, who would take it, who would like do really well with it. But I think it is like what you're saying, right? Too. It's this kind of way to a virtue signal and be like, well, they're not all my guys. I did kind of have a, I sat on the fence and I thought about this here. But to move on though, I did want to play this one segment from Harrison Smith. It's like I thought it was a really good segment about this kind of idea of what we have going forward. Where kind of my thought process is regarding this whole task force in general.
Let's see. You say you staged it?
Yes. Yeah. That's when I got staged right now.
Sorry, my bad. I was reading chat for a second right when you said that last little bit. Awkward silence. I was like, I missed something.
No, you're good. But Harrison Smith writes, and this is a host from InfoWars. He's probably like second in command really to Owen Schroyer, but those are both pretty big names now, especially with InfoWars. But he writes here, totally unnecessary and therefore suspicious. Declassification does not require an intermediary task force. Just release the files. Now, this is a 6-minute segment, and I'll go ahead and do want to play it, but I think it's maybe it's a 2-minute segment here. I apologize. This is the right one. It's this one actually. Let me share this tab.
Okay, I was gonna say the next one we have is the 6-minute segment.
Yeah, this is the one that I wanted to stage. I think we already just played the one you just watched. We just watched. But for declassification, he says this is necessary. Will it be used to delay and distract? But I want to go and play it because I think he kind of knocks out of the ballpark here. So hopefully the volume will be okay too. I'll start off at the highest point as well, but I'll go ahead and let it rip.
Okay.
For too long, the American spirit has been dimmed by a veil of secrecy, by a government that has grown too comfortable in the shadows, denying us the transparency we deserve. But today, we stand at the dawn of a new era where the light of truth begins to shine through. It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. We will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files.
So again, as just, what is the purpose of the task force, though? They're going to do investigations into what? Oh, declassification just means you're just publishing the documents that have previously been secret. You don't need to investigate anything. We don't need the government having a hand in this. How do people not see what's happening? This is controlled, limited disclosure. It's meant to further create the illusion that the quote good guys are now in charge and are exposing the bad guys and cutting them off. This is merely an engineered changing of the guard. Behind the scenes, the true players are all the same. Certain maneuvers will be presented to us as if they represent victories for the good guys, but in reality, it will just usher in the next phase of the control plan / grid. Again, I don't know why else they would be doing this. I don't know what else the purpose of the task force would be other than limiting disclosure in some way. It's not like you can improve disclosure beyond disclosure. Like once it's disclosed, once the declassification happens and the articles or the files are published, you can't publish them again. Like there's no reason to, there's just no reason behind any of this. But here's her answer to the question about what exactly they would be investigating and what they would be investigating first. Clip number 10. Here's again, Representative Luna.
What's your priority list? Because Epstein, 9/11.
Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were 2 shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF, hopefully before the files are actually released to the public.
So just again, I don't know. It doesn't seem necessary to me. Doesn't seem good necessarily. And of course, a lot of people are pointing to the fact that Anna Paulina Luna is a very diehard pro-Israel politician as being perhaps troublesome for her having any authority as to what gets released and what doesn't, because obviously Epstein was an Israeli agent. 9/11, tons of Israeli spies were arrested right around that time. The dancing Israelis, Mossad agents who were pre-positioned before the attacks happened, the Israeli art students that set up explosives inside the building in the exact area where the planes hit. E-team, it's called. Lots of interactions there. Same thing with JFK. Anybody who's looked into it seriously, there's a lot of forces that wanted JFK gone. Probably preeminent among those would be Israel over the Dimona nuclear facilities, as well as making AIPAC register as a foreign agent, which would have prevented their domination of the political system for the last 50 years. So it is a little suspicious. So it's not the type of information that you'd want somebody with a vested interest in protecting Israel to have oversight over. Okay.
But that's essentially where I'm at with it. I think that's pretty spot on with the exact thing that I'm seeing there. And I thought Harrison probably knocked it out of the park, probably said it better than I could even as well too. But that main thing too, which is also more so than just her being a woman and like, oh wow, another woman sim stuff, but the fact that she does, Anna Paulina Luna is not even a real name, but also that she does seemingly have a very strong vested interest, as he says, towards the country that we would be expecting to see more information of regarding their influence and involvement with all of these individual events that are there. Less so MLK, but largely more so the rest of them too. And that's where I kind of stand exactly, which is it just doesn't make sense.
Right. And she even said that they were going to, at the end of that little clip that I played, how did she word it? I'm going to actually just replay this last little bit real quick because I don't want to misquote her.
Until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth.
Okay, so she said that they're going to cut through the bureaucracy, which to me would indicate to this person, Tracy Beans's point, who says, I don't understand why we need a task force. We can release the documents. So if you're cutting through the bureaucracy, why can't I say that word? Bureaucracy. There we go.
Yeah, a few times.
if you're going to cut through that, notice how I skipped it that time. You can just release it. We can read, so I don't know. One of the biggest stories about this, once it does get released, is how much is redacted. I can already predict that. Right? People are going to be making a big stink about, what about this page? What about that page? It's completely redacted. It's completely blacked out. What is it that they had to hide? Who are they trying to protect back from 80 years ago? Like nobody's even alive anymore. you know, besides people that were babies back then or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right, no, right. Well, think about it too from this aspect.
The only thing
Cutting
they
through
could,
bureaucracy, but we got all these executive orders that Trump didn't seemingly need to cut through any bureaucracy to get. But this one in particular was the one that didn't release the files, but rather, as I believe Just Me had pointed out even in the Discord, orchestrated a plan to present why these things should be brought forward. The executive order wasn't for releasing the files. The executive order was for how to present a plan to get that in place.
Mhm.
And that's what's the insane part is like that's the lie. It's like there's nothing that needs to be cut through. There's
too much
this
red tape, too
hesitancy
much
that's not
wasted
transparent.
time.
Right.
Sorry, I interrupted you, but it's just
No,
too
you're
much
fine.
red tape. It's too much wasted time. These people need to work on being more efficient with their time. They're making a lot of money to represent Americans, and whenever they go and do these bullshit little battle backs, like why did they even waste their time going through this level of confirming RFK Jr. today, when they still have to vote on it again? It's just like they're going through the motions. Like, what can we fill our day with busy work wise? You know, just to get through the day.
Right.
It's a bunch of nonsense. But hey, I'm gonna go grab this little dog. I think if she's in here with me, she won't be barking as much. It's driving me insane. So I'm gonna put you on the screen and let you go for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that's me.
I was gonna say wrong person.
Here, you can have my look at my chair while Atlas talks.
Yeah,
All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, it works. You know, one thing I also think too on this level is when you think about when Edward Snowden had docu-dumped everything that he had, a lot of people actually didn't take the position to pardon him immediately. Ultimately, because there was that argument from the more neocon side of things, and even some more kind of rational people, that when he did that, he actually threatened national security. And by releasing as many files as he did, in doing so, he actually did something that would be seen criminal based on the aspect of not just by releasing the files, but by the consequence of which he didn't actually take it to a right way for it to be broken down. That I even don't care about. I would actually rather have a whistleblower, say someone who is like third aide to Anna Paulina Luna or whatever, gets a chance, he's got a button and it says download and he can just grab all the files there, post them on X, totally fine. And then give that person a pardon when anybody in the administration tries to come for him. Because I care less about the national security aspect. We clearly don't have much of that. We're already being spied upon for, you know, Lord knows what. And when you look at the fact of like, well, he did release some people's information out there, and it's like, but yeah, what the majority of what he did was actually point the fact of that we're being listened to without proper what's the word, without warrants, right? You know, our constitution rights are being violated, and the NSA is orchestrating all this kind of spy network grid operating in a way that can listen to people without them ever knowing that it happened, being recorded through electronic devices like TVs and such. And so you weigh that even on an objective scale, it's like, yeah, maybe threaten national security, but the ultimatum here is that the bigger pro in this is the fact that now the American people are privy to what the government has been doing to them, that ultimately, had it been not uncovered, may have gotten way further down the road before there was, you know, any kind of repercussions or any kind of slowing down. And to say national security, even at this stage, it's like, yeah, that's wild, man, because our borders are wide open. What do you mean national security? It's like we're going to cry national security now when the borders have been completely wide open. We have a fentanyl epidemic going on. Our culture is destroyed because so many illegals have gotten in here. Yeah, it's like, spare me. It's like, how about, you know, we're already close to the brink. Just let loose, man. Like just drop everything out. We'll figure it out. We're strong American people. But unless you carry that kind of air of the American people are too retarded to handle this information, let daddy government tell you how we can break it down for you. And it's like, I'm sorry, I don't trust you enough. I don't even care if you are the administration I voted in. I think what that guy had said too, which is like, it has the appearance of like, we're the good guys. Now let us make our committees and we'll do it for you. It's like, whoa. It's like, you guys all, Tix pointed this out. You guys all got angry at the Democrats for doing this stuff. And now you're going to do it too to us. It's like, come on now, like, that's not fair game. We saw the principle and we agreed with you on why they did that and why it was wrong. So don't do it to us. So it's just not transparent whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, good point. And that's the thing about it too, is like you said, we don't trust Congress necessarily. You know what I mean? We trust Trump, his cabinet, and Elon and Doge right now. We don't really trust Congress, and that's to my point that I was talking about earlier with Ro Khanna when it came to Doge. He's saying that we should be the ones approving or disapproving, the stopping of funding to these places that Doge is discovering, and it's like, no, we don't trust you. Once again, there's so many different aspects of it that we just demand the transparency. We just demand, the what we voted for, essentially. America First agenda, not Congress busy work, because I see Ro Khanna, like I was mentioning earlier. How can we fill our busy work? What can we do with our day? Oh, let's vote on that. You know what I mean? Let's vote on what Doge is doing. We can totally just focus on that and not worry about fixing the roads, not worry about setting up, better infrastructure for the country, not worry about any of the real true things, the decay that's going on across the country, that as soon as the next natural disaster hits, a whole community is screwed. I saw another train derailment in Ohio today. Thankfully the leaky car had maple syrup in it instead of whatever that chemical was that they blew up last time before people could actually discover what it was.
Right.
But let's see here. Doesn't need to see our dirty laundry. But that was the other thing that reminded me, TNT. If it was just American people, that's one thing, but the whole world doesn't need to see our dirty laundry. And when it comes to exposing what happened with JFK, MLK, all that type of stuff, I don't really care, because we're not really protecting the American people. And I don't mean to be rude, because I get your point, but
all offense intended.
Yeah, no, but I think that who they're actually protecting is the 3-letter agencies at this point. The integrity of the 3-letter agencies, if there's anything, because like I mentioned, like who's still around, what's still around that would even be affected by like news from an era where the majority of the people have gone and passed on, like the only thing that's still around is the CIA and Ben Shapiro's favorite country and everything like that. It's like that's who they're protecting. And it's crazy because to me, it suggests if they want to protect that, then those entities are still doing similar things today.
No, I agree wholeheartedly.
And so it's like, dang.
Well, I think ultimately, like, think downstream from the consequences of that. It's like, they'll just take TNT on its best, the best argument there, try to steelman it. I get the sentiment of like, if there were to be some kind of, what's the right word? Now China knows, like, the America staged this thing, and now all of UK knows that America might have staged this thing. It was all fake. It's all a lie. Good. I think she thinks that's good. Make it so like when we do try to do this nation building, everyone's like, dude, I don't want America involved. They're going to come over here as CIA agents. The next thing you know, our government's going to get toppled. Mm-hmm. That's good. That means it actually works against us, and not us as the American people, but it works against the American empire. It makes all the other countries aware. It's like, oh, dude, America's like this crazy subversive country, dude. They'll do spec ops and they'll topple your government. They'll try to place their own people there. Dude, don't let Americans over here. That's totally great. That actually makes it easier to be American first. But even on the short end, it's like, wow, China laughs at us because, America government lied to American citizens. It's like, I'm not even going to take offense to that. It's like, yeah, I told you, I've been here for the last 10 years. I've been trying to tell people that. No one listened. It's like, I'd rather the whole world knew it. It kind of solidifies it as well, too.
Yeah, definitely. TNT, this is a place where iron sharpens iron. None of us are going to be 100% correct, but we're all trying to get better, right? And we don't like the sugarcoat stuff unless we have to for the YouTubes. And I definitely appreciate everything TNT brings to the show.
One night he goes around Red Bull for Chris.
I put that up there to go. I was hoping people would get a good laugh out of that.
That's funny. Did you just change it? I think I just noticed it.
I changed it a couple of minutes ago, but
that's good.
I had comments on the screen that replace it. And Chris isn't even here, so we're like talking about him. He's not even here, but we love Chris. It's just funny. We're just guy banter, right?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, you had my parents concerned. My mom was like, dude, for a second, I thought a guy died on live TV. Didn't even look like he fell asleep.
Like, did he just somebody
Yeah.
check his pulse?
Right, exactly. It's like, no, fortunately, he just fell asleep.
It's funny. I see Kathy said Mark Cuban for president. Mr. Cuban has a great business sense. He has a great family. He endorsed Kamala Harris. He's richer than that felon Trump. Well, yeah, Mark Cuban is a woke piece of shit. And he is the stuff that he says on Twitter. I cannot get with at all. If he's so pro DEI, why doesn't he start putting Asian women into the NBA? Oh, because he's a fake piece of shit. That's why. Sorry, but yeah, just being real.
What's wild, I think, Mark Cuban don't even own the
I think he sold
Mavericks
his
anymore.
I think he sold his portion, but he still like lingers around or something. I could be wrong. I don't pay attention to him that close, but he's still been this open pro DEI guy when he was owner of the Mavericks. And, also they love China in the NBA. So, just can't get down with him at all. Mark Cuban is a joke.
Yeah, well, it's funny
No
because
offense.
right. Well, the funny because as soon as he's out of there, they trade their best player, Luka Doncic. I don't know how to say it, Luka, over to the Lakers. And what's insane is who bought the Mavericks, like who takes the primary ownership now? The same lady involved with donating to Donald Trump. The huge $100 million portion, Miriam Adelson.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, her name was on the tip of my tongue. I couldn't think of it.
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Right. And she gets in there and she's like, actually, I want to make the worst human trade possible. Like, and there is controversy because I believe I hate to go to sports, but especially the NBA. I like the NFL, but NBA is just a whole nother animal. It was the fact that they traded like Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic. And the reason why it's so controversial is because Luka Doncic is like primed to be a possible like face of the NBA. I mean, like a very, very talented kid. Right. Anthony Davis is good, but Anthony Davis is like older.
Yeah.
And he's like very injury prone. And I believe he's played 2 games for the Mavericks and he already got hurt again. So there's a lot of like people who are like demanding like the whole group of the people get fired for the Dallas Mavericks. People have been turning in their jerseys and such. Very disappointed because they've been excited to have a generational talent player like that on there. So it is very curious why. Yeah, he's the brow. That's exactly right.
I remember when that guy came out of college, it was just like, he really ain't gonna pluck that thing. All right, he's doing the Michael Strahan. He's not gonna fix the gap in his teeth.
Yeah, he became the entity. Same thing with like Harden with the beard, right? Have you ever seen him without it when he played for Arizona State?
No.
It is one of the ugliest faces you ever see in your life. not even joking you. So he just kept it.
So Kathy followed up and said, so Hegseth is trying to spend taxpayer money on stupid crap. He should take a breathalyzer before he starts work every day. Was Biden even awake the last 4 years? Like, let's get real. They found cocaine in the White House under Joe Biden. Was it his? Was it Kamala's? This chick was drunk on live interviews. Like, get out of here. She should be taking the person that you voted for should be taking breathalyzers, but you wanted her to be the president. So that's worse than Pete Hegseth.
Well, what's insane with that comment too, you said earlier, you'd rather get it like from like the quartering or somebody when it comes to like these big files. So I'm like the opposite. Like I like to read things like very in depth like that. It's like
just the Twitter file specifically. The Twitter file specifically, it got boring to me.
No, I get that, but it's like for me, like when I covered, this is how much I can't stand women. When the Pete Hegseth story was floating around of the sexual assault thing, I already like had this in bias of like, oh, this is probably some BS. So I actually spent some time breaking down the multi-page police report and did that on air too after I'd read it some. And what's insane is what you'll find is that the entire story is just literally bullshit. It's made up. And it's another case of a woman calling foul because she made a regrettable decision while drunk. In fact, doing it, while her husband and kids were in a different hotel, or a different hotel room at the same complex. It's a very disgusting story. So this whole kind of joke of like Pete Hegseth needing a breathalyzer and all that is like, it's funny, right? But it's like, how about the lady who cried SA? Like she probably is the one who needed the breathalyzer there in that situation.
Right.
I can't even tell if Kathy's joking or not because it's kind of
You know what's funny is I thought that this was my mother-in-law for a minute, but after those last two comments, definitely not.
that's funny. Because it's like Democrats are so predictable and so corny too that it's like it's so hard to tell. The all caps is so on point. Like I
Straight
want to
boomer.
know like, what Reddit you came from that you found us on.
Right.
Like, that's
straight,
like what
straight
I'm at.
boomer, all caps, like yelling like a crazy blue-haired, like coming to ring my doorbell and tell me that I got too many whatever on my lawn. Like you know what I'm saying? The head of the HOA. Got to take down your Trump sign.
Right. Yeah, Kathy's friends call her Karen. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
hard to
funny.
tell though. You know, we get people that come in here all the time that say just ridiculous stuff. So who knows?
Right.
Maybe it's just an honest troll.
And like TNT said, bless your heart, Kathy. We appreciate you for being here and commenting and helping contribute to the show.
Okay, boomer. Like that's what I would say to Kathy, dude. Like, okay, boomer.
Oh, that's funny stuff. That's funny stuff. Okay, so we got this last one, not this last one, but we got this next one here from Ian Carroll. We are going to wrap up here soon, by the way.
Yeah. So whatever you wanted to cover, I'm game.
Atlas has been having a super busy training session at work and stuff like that. So
Yes, I've been staring at my computer for
it takes bombers
at
at
over 12 hours now.
Bless your heart. That one's like such a polite diss. I love it.
There's no recovering from that.
I had to give a lady on Facebook a bless your heart a while back, and she came back with GFYS, right?
I know what that lingo means.
But this is the last order we have on this whole Anna Paulina Luna thing. This one's from Ian Carroll, and TNT cracking me up. We want the Epstein client list, but we want the Epstein collaborators too. Don't forget that as this goes forward, Epstein didn't work for himself. Neither did Ghislaine Maxwell. And, you know, like you mentioned earlier, she's sitting there in prison for trafficking, and we don't know who she trafficked for or to. You know what I mean? Like, all those people are still walking around. All around that same amount of time, a bunch of CEOs quit their jobs. It was super suspicious. It was, you know, demands a lot of time and investigation, honestly. But you never know. I mean, Kash Patel, there's so much going on. Did Kash actually get confirmed, or is he still one of the ones that's remaining to be confirmed?
I don't think he's been confirmed yet.
Okay, I was thinking it was Kash, Tulsi, and RFK Jr. So I guess they're gonna. I think he's still yet to be confirmed. But yeah, once he heads up the FBI, hopefully he can clean up a lot of that stuff as well, potentially.
That's the hope.
Right.
Somebody who promised pretty heavily about these files and themselves that he would be dropping them. He never said anything about a task force, as far as my knowledge.
Okay, TNT said he thinks Kash is in the morning, like the actual vote for the confirmation, or like the pre-confirmation vote. I wonder, like they did with RFK today. All these stupid freaking waste of time. Just like we all know, the Democrats are voting against him, along with Mitch McConnell, which is what we'll get into here next. Just basically with the whole Tulsi Gabbard confirmation today. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oops, I'm not doing it right. I'm not clicking it right. There we go. Mitch McConnell voted against Tulsi Gabbard's nomination. This geriatric needs to be removed from the Senate. Yeah, why are we waiting for this dude to retire? He's literally standing there shaking hands with Zelensky, dressed like a UPS man. No offense if you're a UPS man, it's just he reminds me of Doug from King of Queens in this picture. And, you know, we know Zelensky is a dude. He shows up to is wearing a hoodie to meet the president and all that kind of crap. Has no respect for us at all. No decorum.
Just
And
like the Fetterman.
just like Fetterman, yeah. At least Fetterman has a brain injury that we know about to just like at least have the excuse built in, right?
Right. And that Frankenstein thing on his neck too.
Yeah, I forgot about that. And then we have this little thing right here. Confirmed Tulsi Gabbard as your Director of National Intelligence. I'll be at the swearing-in ceremony at the White House later today. Thank you for the opportunity to be in this fight. That's from Mark Wayne Mullen, and he gives a little minute speech here.
Hey guys, great news. We just confirmed Tulsi Gabbard to be the DNI, Director of National Intelligence. Now, what is DNI? A lot of people ask, I know what FBI is, I know what the CIA is, but what is DNI? Well, let me just give you kind of a quick rundown of this. There's actually 18 intelligence agencies. DNI was stood up after 9/11 because what happened in 9/11, we realized we had the information, but it was all siloed in all these different agencies. So President Bush wanted to set up the Director of National Intelligence that they don't go out and gather information. That's the other intelligence agencies that do that. But the Director of National Intelligence takes all of it, brings it together, makes sure that all the information that the FBI may be gathering someplace, the CIA may be gathering in place, and all the other ones may be gathered. They're all filtered together. We decipher it, and we use all of it to get the best intelligence report to the president's desk. So super excited about having Tulsi Gabbard, my friend, confirmed to be the next Director of National Intelligence. Next up, Robert Kennedy Jr. Bobby's a very good friend of mine. What's interesting here is the Democrats hate them both, even though they were long-term Democrats. Now the Republicans, even though the Democrats are supposed to be the party of inclusion, whatever that's supposed to mean, it seems like to me the party of the Republican Party is the one that's accepting everybody in and taking different opinions.
That's right. Because truth and facts matter. Unlike what Kathy is saying here, like to know more about this Mark Cuban. Well, wait, I thought she said like you know more about this Mark Cuban. Yeah, I mean, look into him if you don't know how woke he is and everything like that. But we're over the Mark Cuban conversation.
I think a robot is speaking to us right now.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Yeah, Tix is right. Just their votes. Just the votes, man. Not gonna put that on.
Hey, dude, if someone's running on being the party of exclusion, they got my vote in a heartbeat. You ain't got to tell me anything else, dude. Who are we excluding?
Let's see here. Let's what else we got here? Senator RFA, Mark Chabinsky. That's cracking me up. Google was officially.
Yeah, that is what his actual real name is.
Cuban B. This one's a fun one. Google has officially updated their maps to display the new Gulf of America. It's perfect. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me go full screen here. Gulf of America. I saw this and I actually pulled up the maps on my phone, and sure enough, Gulf of America was right there. I did hear that like I mentioned earlier, that it's only on American phones, but like I said, I don't care. I'm fine with that.
Right.
That means all my friends, even the Democrats in my group chat, gotta see it.
Well, you have a bunch of weirdos complaining like this is the most fascist thing I've ever seen a president do, and it's like what you had said earlier. Like they'll just, I mean, people cry about the most retarded things.
So now you guys got me confused. Is that really Mark Cuban's last name?
Yeah, I thought it was
he
something.
Opted for Cuban. Like, okay, odd choice.
Yeah. Well, right. Well, probably good reasons why he did that.
Kathy said, should I just Google Mark Cuban? I would go on X. Look at the stuff that he posts. He deletes a lot of stuff, by the way, once he gets ratioed, which means that there's more comments than likes. But I would go on X and just look at the stuff that he says. this dude is super woke DEI. I mean, and he has no principles. And I mean, the dude's an elitist, billionaire elitist. Like Democrats are supposed to hate billionaires, I thought. I mean, isn't that the whole problem with Trump and Elon Musk doing what they're doing is the billionaires are making the billionaires rich? No, that's actually not what Trump and Elon are doing. Elon's working for free. Trump donates his paycheck. Mark Cuban doesn't donate shit. He's just a jerk, honestly. And so if you're being serious about trying to find out more about Mark Cuban, look at his stuff on X. I mean, that's the best way. Look through the comments, look at the little fights he has with people. The dude is lacking serious principles, and he comes out here and makes these statements, and it's just obvious. It's super obvious to somebody that's looking for it, right? And so
yeah, well,
have an open mind.
As the resident Mark Cuban expert, I would tell you, trust the experts. No reason to even look any information up yourself. Mark Cuban is just not a good human being. Nothing else further necessary. If I was to offer another piece of advice, it would be to look at the left-hand side of your keyboard. About a few buttons down, you will see there is a caps lock button. I believe you have that jammed down. If you press it one time, it will go back to regular print.
Right. It's maybe it's broken like Tix Bomber's question mark button. You're supposed to smash the like button, not your question mark. Okay, what's X? All right, now I know.
I think Tix is just little
being
special.
difficult. You don't know what X is? X is what Twitter is. I mean, what Twitter used to be, right? Or it's the new and improved Twitter. Wow, I'm kind of speechless. Elon Musk owns it, but it's where you can see what Mark Cuban is basically saying, what he wants the world to see. And so it's an app, and if you search for it, you'll find it. It's real easy. It's literally the screen on here that I'm showing you. This is X. This is it right here. See the little X right here in the corner. Yeah, it's free. You can pay for it if you want more information and access to stuff, some more abilities. But yeah, I'm lost. I'm at a loss for words.
Clip this last segment. World teaches Boomer how to use X.
Oh man. Okay, so Hal said, "I remember when Twitter was just slang for stabbing a hooker." Good Lord. Oh man. Okay. Let's see here. Let's touch on this last one just because we alluded to it in the beginning. Boomer turns out to be bot. I mean, it has to be. Just as long as you hit the like button, you've been here long enough that we're giving you a good faith effort to bring you the real news. Right. But here, I just want to bring this last one. I know we're past 9, but excuse me. This was a big one. The DHS reclaims the $59 million from New York City migrant housing funds. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, has successfully reclaimed the $59 million that was previously allocated by FEMA to New York City for the housing of undocumented immigrants in upscale hotels, 5-star hotels. This action follows the firing of several FEMA employees who were involved in the unauthorized transfer of these funds. The reclamation was announced by DHS Secretary Kristi Noem in a formal setting, emphasizing the recovery of public funds. And here's her actual official post here from Secretary Kristi Noem. I have clawed back the full payment that FEMA deep state activists unilaterally gave to New York City migrant hotels. FEMA was funding the Roosevelt Hotel that serves as a Tren de Agua base of operations. I said that wrong, but I don't care. It's a gang. And was used to house Laken Riley's killer. Mark my words, there will be not a single penny spent that goes against the interest of the safety of the American people. And then we also have here, I think I had it pulled up right here. Pam Bondi, she's already cut off funding to Illinois for being a sanctuary city in Chicago. And here, I got to actually copy this and paste it. Give me 1 second. Okay. This is her making the same threat basically to New York, from what I understand. This was actually a longer clip. It was like 15, 20 minutes. And I wanted to play the whole thing, honestly, but playing 15, 20-minute video doesn't serve the show that well. You know what I mean? You guys don't want to hear just 20 minutes of something else.
Yeah, I ain't gonna listen to a woman talk that long.
But this is Pam Bondi. The AG has just announced that she has charged New York Governor Kathy Hochul and Letitia James for failing to enforce immigration law, throw them in handcuffs and lock them up. An example must be set.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. We're here today because
she had more to that, and it was good. I loved everything about it pretty much. Kathy followed up here. I don't have Twitter. I have boycotted Elon Musk and everything it has to do with. Look, you're being super woke, like in the cult, like seriously. And if you want to cut yourself off to information, and just listen to your echo chamber, you're never going to grow. You're never going to get the truth. You're just going to have confirmation bias from your echo chamber. So I challenge you to break from the cult. I know it's physically painful, but you have to do it if you want to be able to understand, if you're willing to understand the truths in this world, just the reality of it.
Right. Well, just 30 seconds of listening to her talk was a workout for me. I'm actually exhausted trying to survive that. But one thing to note there too, that's really, really sad. That lady standing to the left of her, from this perspective, she is a mother of an angel family. It's a term that's been getting used because from all of the parents out here who have lost a child to an illegal immigrant, whether they were, beaten, unalived, in many different forms. So it is just sad. It's pretty easy for people who are unaffected to still also be very anti illegal immigration. Obviously, I think it's easier for them to be anti immigration, but just to know that there are all of these real world consequences of such, which is why the mass deportations is such a big deal to me too. Not only have they overstayed their welcome, they never had one to begin with, but secondarily, they've taken American lives because we had previous administration say, come on in. We'll actually, screw everyone else who lives here, come over here and, have at all of our jobs, have at our women and children. And it's been really disgusting. And so that's why I always kind of uphold the position of, I wish I would see a bit more fascism from Donald Trump. I wish it'd be a bit less of, caring towards its individuals. I wish we would enact, in all honesty, I wish we would enact a bit more of the racial profiling. I would care to do whatever it would take to actually get these people out of our country as soon as humanly possible, because that's what the American people deserve. They don't deserve some kind of curated process that's like, well, because think about this mother here. Do you think she cares about any of that? No, she wants to see these people gone. They
Right.
took something from her that she can never replace, and that came at the behest of our government ensuring that they did not protect our borders. In fact, the opposite, opening them as wide as they possibly could. So
Right.
she deserves all the justice in the world for that.
Right, 100%. Our federal government fought against Texas, who decided to guard their own border. Remember, they put up the buoys, they put up the barbed wire fence,
Right.
and then Biden's federal
razor wire.
government was out here. Yeah, the razor wire. Thank you. Biden's federal government was out here saying you got to take it down, and it's just like, really? And then they say we need more. They wanted to blame Trump for blocking the border bill, right? That had a bunch of money to Ukraine when he was running, and they're saying, "Oh, Trump is a dictator. He's already got control of the Senate or Congress or whatever. And if he really wanted border security, he wouldn't have derailed this whole thing when Republicans were in agreement already, and blah blah blah." And it's like they wanted to put more judges down there They wanted to put more border agents down there to facilitate the bringing in of people, not to protect the border and keep people out. They wanted to ramp up the operations that were happening because of, the CBP app, where people were registering and claiming asylum when they weren't even coming from neighboring states or countries. They weren't truly meeting the asylum seeking criteria. They were just beating our system because our system has loopholes, and some people are experts at beating the system, primarily people that come across that southern border. And that's just the reality of it. And
we also have a situation where you have a real situation in South Africa, where there is a literal politicized and vocal genocide taking place, where these individuals would be some that would fit the standards of who would be seeking asylum, who would be very easy to assimilate into our culture based on what their culture is over there too. Though all the white farmers that are being victimized, but now it's like, how do you do that, right? They've taken up space. Now it's probably going to be harder for them to come over here, just based on the, what's going on with the situation at the border and things being tightened down too. That's why I'm just I'm against all of it. Majority of the people here, if not all of them, are asylum seekers by any definition of what we actually would want to actually enshrine in law. They are here because they want to be opportunist. They want to be economic migrants at best, take advantage of our system. And at the end of the day, everybody loses because they don't generally bring in skill. They bring in crime, they bring in violence, and they bring in a downright subversion to the culture overall just by their presence of being here and refusing to assimilate. So all of across the board, net negative entirely. This needs to be excised as soon as possible and get justice for the families that were affected.
Yeah, and the thing is, we've not only have we seen this go on within our own country. If you just look over at Europe and what London used to be, I think it's London. They got the big tower. That's in London, right?
Yeah, Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. I think it's London. And some of these other places around there.
That's in Paris.
Paris, yeah, that's Paris, France. That's right. Yeah, thank you. A lot of these areas over there have been overrun by illegal immigrants or even legal immigrants because their government has been facilitating it, much like what Biden tried to do. Biden did, not tried to do. And the violence over there, I mean, they're just they're a few years, they're a handful of years, 10, maybe 5-10 years ahead of us in opening their borders. And we're following suit. Well, Biden's administration followed suit, and it completely destroyed entire neighborhoods. They brought Sharia law with them. They, it's not safe for a woman to walk down the street. It's way worse. And so when you just pay attention to what's going on over there as a result of what they're trying to facilitate here with our southern border, you just can't be for it. There's no way you want any place in America to be made more dangerous due to this type of stuff. So thankfully we got Trump in there. Like we said a million times before, I'm going to keep reiterating it. Need to ramp up the deportations. I did see that he took 1,000 or 2,000, I think it was a little over 2,000 IRS agents and sent them to the border to help deport individuals. So that's good. I think there's 100,000 IRS agents total. So, I mean, I think you should send them all. Tell people this year, you know what? You guys have suffered enough from the Biden regime. Income tax season is just done, unless you got a return coming. File your return. We'll send you the money we owe you. But if you owe, just knock it off. We'll knock it off the books. We're going to print it anyways, right? So not that would happen. I would love for it to happen. A lot of people could use that break within our country. But, it's just, I forgot where I was going with that. Those IRS agents would be better served helping deport individuals is what I was getting at. We could send 100, that's a good way to ramp up the deportations. We need, I can't remember the number. I think it was 28,000 or something per day to hit that 40 million. Maybe it wasn't 28,000. Maybe it was, I can't remember. We did the math on the previous show. And we want to hit that 40 million deportations because that's the number that I believe the amount of people that came into the country.
Yeah.
illegally over the last
Well,
4 years alone.
If you were where I'm at, you'd think the number was 200 million bajillion. My whole city's kind of entirely changed. Just like feels like what happened overnight. But yeah, no, I do totally agree. Divert whatever resources you have to make Anna Paulina Luna go to the border. That'd be a better use. Go find immigrants and get them out of this country. I'm really doing that.
Right, for real. Well, I see Kathy finally figured out where the caps lock button is, but I'm not really going to address any of the foolishness. I don't really believe you're here to have a genuine conversation. If you're not willing to go on X and break out of your cult, then there's nothing I can do for you. Honestly.
What has become of Rachel Maddow?
She said prices have gone up for fear of tariffs, which is not true. And eggs are up because of the bird flu. Well, that part's true because Biden had like millions of chickens basically killed in fear of bird flu, which is complete bullshit. But you know what? I don't have to worry about egg prices because I got my own chickens.
Right.
Eggs. Yeah. TNT says eggs are up because of the fear of bird flu. Biden had hundreds of millions of chickens destroyed for no reason. Exactly. Healthy chickens completely destroyed. So not only are eggs up, I'm sure wings are going up too. But we'll see. You know, I challenge you, Kathy, to be willing to let Trump work. And if your life gets better at the end of 4 years, abandon the Democrats in everything that they believe and say and do, because they're just a bunch of liars that are anti-America and they're anti-Trump and they're anti-you, frankly.
Right.
But like, Jesus, Paul, thank you, President Biden, for cleaning up Trump's mess. All right, you're an idiot. You're probably going to get blocked. It's not even a genuine conversation. But anyways, with that, you guys, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up there. We covered most of the stuff that we wanted to. If we didn't cover it in depth, we at least talked about some of the other things that we have here in our outline.
Yep.
But yeah, TNT said come back same time Saturday. I didn't block you, so your comments will at least be up. But I don't think Kathy will be back unless the bot refines the show. But
I don't know. You comment like 7 times on a channel, you're probably like, man, this person really likes this stuff.
I mean, it's really funny. We're at least willing to engage in the conversation and have the conversation rather than just block you like a Democrat would do on to a Republican or to a Trump supporter on their show, right?
Right.
So you got better treatment than I would get on your favorite channel. So just remember that.
Yeah, true.
Tix Bomber said Kathy can get all the bless your heart smoke.
Real.
Hate watchers have a different perspective. Yeah, that's true, TNT.
Yeah, bring your friends next time.
Yeah, and it's fine. I just wish they'd be willing to actually like learn, and not saying like I'm some genius or the Atlas is some genius, although we are.
Yeah,
we
right. I was about to say, like, what were you talking about?
Speak for yourself, bud.
Right.
But just, you know, if you're in it for a genuine conversation, you want to try to understand why over half of the country voted for Trump and is tired of the bullshit the Democrats have put on us over the last 4 years. Be open to actually hearing it. You know what I mean? Don't just Trump felon. You know the reason why Trump is a felon? Because the Democrats tried to keep him off the ballot. They attacked their political opponent, which is what Trump got impeached for the first time when he was investigating Joe Biden's call to Ukraine. When Trump called Ukraine to find out what the hell Joe Biden was talking about when he bragged on camera about withholding taxpayer of congressional approved funding all over getting the investigator that was looking into Burisma, the company where Hunter Biden was on the board of, fired. Victor Shokin. He said, we need Victor Shokin fired or you're not getting the money. And sure enough, he got fired. So that's Joe Biden for you. And they impeached Trump for doing that, for checking it out as the Literally, it's his duty. It's his job to investigate corruption like that as the commander in chief. And excuse me. And they impeached him for it. But then whenever Biden uses Letitia James and what's his name stepped down from the but he was like the fourth highest person in government to go be a district attorney, work for the district attorney's office and prosecute Trump. They turned 32 or 34 misdemeanors beyond the statute of limitations into felonies without providing any evidence that, because you can turn a misdemeanor into a felony, but you have to provide proof and evidence. They didn't provide any proof or evidence. They just did it. That is completely abusing their power. And the reason they did it was because they were trying to keep Trump off the ballot so that we couldn't elect him. And the reason they didn't want him elected is because of everything that he's doing for us the last 2 weeks. They did not want to be investigated by Doge. They were scared. They're protecting their own interests. They're protecting their investors. They're not protecting you. It was all about self-preservation. That's who the Democrat leadership cares about, is themselves. Meanwhile, Trump is out here doing things for the American people, trying to make our lives better, being very transparent about it. He spoke to the press longer on day one when he was signing presidential executive orders than Joe Biden did his entire 4 fucking years. Like, I'm sorry, but
right.
if you want to sit there and keep calling him a felon, you need to understand that you sound like an idiot when you do it. And the majority of Americans agree with me. Okay. And that's just the reality of it.
Real.
So anyways,
Nothing to add.
With that, I hope the rest of you have a good night. Even you, Kathy. I'm just sorry. I'm just sick of the same stuff over and over from the Democrat side. It's annoying. And
people.
You want to call yourself populist? Well, guess what? Trump and MAGA is populism right now. That's what the American people demand. That's the mandate that we have set to Donald Trump. We've elected him despite all of the attacks from the left, and we're okay with everything that he does. And so, anyways, you got to make up the decision if you're anti-billionaires or if you're pro-billionaires, if you really have any kind of principles at all, if you're just in it for the cult, or if you're in it for the betterment of Americans. Like, it's just plain as that. And so, anyways, I'm guessing Kathy has a Ukrainian flag on her profile somewhere, probably on Facebook. But
yeah, paid for by USAID.
Right, exactly. So, anyways, really wrapping up this time. I really appreciate everybody for being here. And I want to say, Atlas won't be here on Saturday, correct? You're just out for Saturday's show. Okay, so I'll be rocking a solo show. Dirty Money, I mentioned maybe having him on, but I forgot that Atlas was going to be gone that day. I think I'd rather have him on a day when Atlas is here as well. And so it'll probably just be me.
I gotta radicalize him.
It'll probably just be me on Saturday. So I look forward to seeing everybody there. You won't find, if you're watching on Atlas's channel, you'll obviously need to make sure that you're subscribe to America First TV, my channel, to watch that show, because it won't be on his. But in that light, if you are watching on my channel on America First TV, please go over, take a few seconds, search Atlas Thugged in the search bar. Or if it doesn't pop up, Atlas Thugged channel will definitely pull it up, and go give him a sub. Especially if you enjoyed the show, if you appreciate a couple guys trying to make the world, not the world better, but trying to make the fight the right side of culture. We're all about, trying to re-energize the masculine Christian man, which we didn't get into a whole lot of that this show. There's just so much news, but if you're in support of that type of thing, Atlas is like 40 subs from hitting that 1,000 mark. It's a big milestone for YouTube, and we'd both appreciate you for going over there and hitting that sub button and helping him get to that mark. It's a big goal. We'd love to get it done. We're just trying to get over the finish line with that one. And then with that, I'll remind you, if you're watching on X, of course, Kathy, that's what they all say. They're not a Republican. You're not a Republican or Democrat. You're an independent free thinker. but you just echo everything that comes out of the freaking cult is all. And so you need to realize that. But you're just like my friend, I swear. He toes the Democrat line on everything, but he tells you up and down, he swears he's not a Democrat. Just like, y'all have been tricked, fooled, bamboozled, hoodwinked, run amok. Did I leave anything else? Miss anything else? Anyway,
No.
so finally, do you have anything else?
No, just as always, Christ is King. I think TNT said in my praying for my little girl. Yeah, her name is Eowyn, Eowyn, daughter of King Theoden from Lord of the Rings, from Kingdom of Rohan. That's where I got the name from. But yeah, Christ is King. Thanks everybody for being here. We appreciate it very much. And again, I won't be here on Saturday, so I'll see you guys the upcoming Monday.
Right. And TNT, I did say a couple prayers for the other guy as you requested. I think his name was Andrew from. I actually watched some of his videos. I think his name was Andrew. I can't think of his channel name right now. But it was cool. It was him and his wife checking out some spots in the desert and stuff like that. So I hope he's on the recovery. I haven't seen any updates or anything, but we did say prayer for that, and once again reiterate prayers for Atlas's daughter and her kidneys. Yeah, Andrew from Desert Drifter. Yeah, thanks TNT for clarifying. And then yeah, Christ is King. We'll see you guys on Saturday.
Peace out, everybody.
Let's roll, rolling Atlas Thug. We here to bring the truth. Jar, open this podcast. We breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up. We won't be swayed. Jar, open this podcast where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug. We're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street, keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Thug, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast where the lies will decrease.